Am I the asshole for telling my mum I'm not paying for her full mummy makeover? Soon after graduation, and before I, 32, even started my current job, my mum, 57, asked me to help with elective cosmetic surgeries. I told her that I can pay up to $3,000, but that's about it. The issue is, she helped put me through school, sending me some of her government assistance, etc., which was extremely helpful to a broke college adult. Yet, accepting her assistance gave me so much anxiety, because when I would say, "Thank you, I truly appreciate the help," her reply 100% of the time was always, "Don't worry, I'll get a return on my investment." Even typing that reply gives me serious anxiety. I can't explain it. So now she's seeking her return. She wants about $10,000 worth of a new body. I'm the only successful kid of 8 siblings, and I'm in the middle. Literally, all of my siblings are broke and have some sort of addiction. I didn't create the body she has alone. Me and my 7 other siblings did. She's been gaslighting me like crazy. "You promised you would pay for everything. You promised me that it wouldn't be an issue, etc." And honestly, I almost believed it until I reminded her that there is no way I can say that when I know my savings is at $0 and 0 cents. I'm starting over from scratch. 401k, savings, investing, etc. I'm light years behind where I want to be if I want to retire comfortably. She's throwing in my face how I have enough money to travel. I'm doing very cheap budget weekend traveling once a month. I'm talking megabus, greyhounds, motel stays, etc., but not enough to help my own mother with something that I promised her. Also, is it even called a mummy makeover when your youngest is 22? To clear some things up, 1. She didn't put me through school. She gave me food stamps every other month. 2. I see a lot of "it's a parent's job, ... The thing is, I'm grown, so she absolutely didn't have to. That's why I agreed to the $3,000. She definitely didn't send me $3,000 worth of groceries. 3. It's making me feel nauseous typing this because she's spreading the word to my siblings about how my profession makes so much money. And of course, they're asking for money too, and I'm stupidly giving. As my older siblings frequently state, "I've basically raised you," which is true. My mum threw me and the younger siblings to the older siblings, and when they moved out, it was my younger siblings on me to raise. 4. I asked for a compromise that if she waits a couple of years so I can be stable, then I should have the $10,000, but she doesn't want to have a makeover in her 60s. And 5. I'm a sucker, I know, but I'm thinking about how myself as a woman has insecurities, and if my mum has them, then sure, I'll help. It's just the entitlement that's causing me to say no, but it makes me feel really shitty. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. 1. I told my mum I would pay $3,000 instead of $10,000. 2. She did use her government assistance to help feed me throughout school. My judgment is, this is out of my jurisdiction. I don't like this situation that you're in. If I were not riddled with anxiety and a bunch of shackles, mental shackles, I would have run from a situation like this and not looked back yonks ago. I don't think you have the ability to do that, OP, and I commend you for helping out where you can, but that help ain't helping. You are being taken advantage of by this family. Not the asshole for what you're doing, but don't keep doing it and don't give more. In the comments, Vamsmack says, "Not the asshole. This is deranged, and you probably shouldn't be giving her anything. This seems massively weird." Not the asshole. A parent's job is to provide for her children. She helped you with college, as she should, and she wants a completely cosmetic procedure in return? It's not adding up. Her giving with an expectation of receiving later on from her own child is crazy. Personally, I dream to spoil my parents once I have the means to, but her entitlement is not okay. OP replies, "I want to spoil my parents too. My dad really supported me financially and never asked for a dime. And I'll ask him, 'Hey, can I send you any money?' And he makes far less than my mum, and he 100% always declines my offer, saying he knows that I need to stabilize myself. Mum, on the other hand, she's taken that money." Holdfast replies, I think it's time to go low contact or no contact with your mum for a while. She's going to keep harassing you for money until you give in otherwise. Not the asshole. Your mum sounds like a narcissist. OP replies, I actually never thought of this. They're basically manipulators, right? Yes. Also, the narcissist blurs boundaries and grooms their kids to take care of his or her needs first before the child's own. Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells to lessen the arguments or drama? That can be a big clue, too. Also, narcissists tend to get worse as they age. She may have seemed nice or caring when you were younger, but it gets harder to keep up the facade as they age. Fluffbeard says, not the asshole. And from my personal experience, I would say not to give her the money. Trust me, she is not going to stop here. She gave you the money to help you live. It's not equivalent to plastic surgery. At some point, she's going to need your help with a real emergency. You can pay her back her investment then. OP replies, I don't doubt this, but I already gave my word on the 3K. And to be honest, I don't know what relationship we'll have if I tell her no altogether. You'll have a transactional relationship if you give her the money and she'll keep asking for more. A relationship with reasonable boundaries is far better than a transactional one, but I doubt she will want to follow your rules and will ramp up the manipulation and drama to get what she wants. I bet she's already doing that now. Please take care of yourself and stop being the bank of your family. They will drain you dry and then berate and shun you when you can't give any more. Try to surround yourself with a truly supportive family of your own choosing if the family you grew up with is not respecting your needs and boundaries. It's hard, but your own mental health is the most important, and what's at stake here? Sorry to be harsh, but I've watched it happen in my own extended family. Please take care of yourself first. Update. Wow, you guys are on it. So I read every last message, even if I didn't reply. And now that I'm thinking about it, you guys are right. And here's what you're right about. When I was about 10 or so in school during Mother's Day week, we made cards. I gave my mum a handmade card. When she opened it, she looked at me straight in the eyes and said, next time you give me a card, please have money in it, at least $1. And I remember saying something along the lines of, I don't have any money, or, like, I don't have a job. And she said, well, until you get a job, I don't need any more cards. And since then, I have never given someone an empty card. So yeah, y'all was spot on. My relationship with my mum is transactional. It's basically conditional love that I get from her. And the condition is the more money she gets from me, the more she'll love on me. Since my first job at 16, I would give her all money, and she'd allow me to keep a set amount. Never seeing a cent of my dad's child support either. And to be honest, as a woman far from her friends and family, not being able to talk to my own mother would just be too hard. I'm trying to figure out now if I want to keep buying her love or go low or no contact like some of you suggested. And to be honest, I can't afford, mentally, to not have her in my corner even if I know I'm paying her. The heavy feeling of this realization is a lot. While I don't like the feeling I have now until I get sick and tired of being sick and tired, I'm sadly willing to pay her until I've had enough. I'm only scared that with this stupid brain and now broken heart, she could rinse me dry. I saw someone say put a savings for health issues, etc. I'll do a separate account for her and throw $50 to $100 in increments, but it won't be for her health issues. It'll be because I'm a daughter yearning for her mother's love and is willing to pay for it, for now at least. Thank you all so much. And yes, I've gone to therapy, and no surprise, she echoed a lot of what you guys said. And now I don't know if I can go back, as this is a truth that I don't want to dwell on too much, because it's sad AF. A daughter paying for her mother's love? It is what it is. Thank you all again. In the comments, Leopard Eater says, this is one of those times I wish I could reach through my phone, shake OP, and then give them a hug that they will never ever get from a single person in their family. She needs to cut them all off and get the heck out of there and change her name. The term chosen family was made for people like her. She needs to choose herself a brand new family. I'm not old enough to be her mum, but I would be her mum. I don't understand people who have kids like that. There is nothing my munchkin could do that would cause me to stop loving them. Honestly, if they were a serial killer, I would still love them. I would just lovingly call the police and then love them behind bars. Oh my god. True though, but Jesus. That is unconditional love right there. That is truly unconditional. Wow, this has been an emotional roller coaster for me, this one. I have yelled my heart out for these people, on behalf of these people. Dear Christ. OP, please find help. Please get away from your mother. That update is so unhealthy. It is just reeking of, I'm trapped. I am trapped with this woman, and I don't want you trapped with her, OP. I want you free. I want you prospering. I don't want you under the boot of this family because they are no good for you. This is genuinely breaking my heart to see that you are still staying there, and I wish you all the best. I wish you leave. I wish we get another update where you say, I broke free, I cut them all off, I'm no longer a part of their lives. But unfortunately, that is just life sometimes. People are stuck in these situations, people are stuck in worse, and sometimes there is no escaping it. A lot of the times you're trapped in your own mental prison, I feel like. And from my point of view, it appears as though OP is stuck in their own mental prison. They're like an elephant that has a rope tied to it and doesn't believe that they can be free because that is what they've been conditioned to understand. I am sending all of my love your way, OP. I do hope there is another update in the future where you have seen the light and you have escaped. Am I the asshole for leaving my own wedding because my husband embarrassed me? I, female 27, and my husband, male 29, have been together for 3 years. In those 3 years, I have never known him to be selfish. Occasionally immature, yes, but even that was rare. These problems arose when those stupid cake-smashing videos got popular, and my husband thought they were hilarious. I never thought they were funny, and he knows that. Yet he was always showing me the videos of those poor wives getting the happiest day of their lives, ruined by their asshole partner for some cheap laughs. He also knows that I have a history with cake smashing. My family does the cake smashing thing. I remember that it was my 17th birthday, and I pleaded with my mum not to do it. She promised, and I trusted her. I had my hair and makeup done up all nice, and right as I blew out my candles, my mum pushed my head into the cake, and one of the decorations in the cake ended up slicing my forehead. Not enough to go to the hospital, but enough for some substantial bleeding. My birthday was ruined, and after, I wouldn't come out of my room. My mum still calls me a brat for that. I told him if he ever did something like that to me, I would leave him. He started laughing, but I was being for real. Though he really was not taking me seriously. Now skip to a few days ago when my wedding happened. Everything was perfect. I was happy, he was happy. I was excited for our new lives as newlyweds. I felt like a princess in my puffy white dress and done-up hair with perfect makeup. All very expensive things I would like to mention. We get to the cake cutting part, and as I turn to him, he scoops up a huge chunk of our wedding cake and smashes it all over my face. Everything just seemed to go in slow motion for a few moments. He's just laughing at me, and then says, "You should see your face," and continues to laugh. Other people in the crowd, mostly my family, are also laughing at me. Then I just start walking away. He realizes that I'm leaving and tries to catch up with me and says that I'm being extra. I push him away and I order an Uber. As I got outside, most of the crowd is following me, telling me to come back. I get into the Uber and drive away. I drove to our apartment and packed most of my things and went to stay at a hotel. I currently, though, am staying at a friend's house. My family and his family have been blowing up my phone for days, saying I'm being childish and my husband is a good man and it was just a joke. My husband has been calling me off the hook, telling me to please come home and that he wants to talk, that he's sorry and didn't think that I'd get that emotional. This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, and he embarrassed me in front of everyone for some prank that he knew that I hated. Not only that, he ruined a $500 cake. He ruined my makeup, my hair, and the top of my dress. The cake got all over it. Though I do still love him, and I'm wondering if I really was too hard on him. That seems to be everyone else's opinion. So, am I the asshole? I don't think you're the asshole for doing this, OP. You set hard boundaries down, and he knew that you have trauma in relation to this, yet still did it. You also warned him in no uncertain terms, months previous to this occasion, that it wasn't cool to do. You obviously saw that it was a likely possibility of it happening, with him continuously showing you videos of that. And I guess the only thing you could have done to try and make absolutely sure he doesn't do it is be like, hey, you've been showing me all these videos of cake smashing. I have a good feeling you're going to do it because I know you, and I swear to God, I am serious. I am dead serious when I say I'm going to divorce you and walk out of there if you smash my face with cake. That would be absolutely clear as day. Yes, I am going to leave you if you do this, you asshole. Like, if this is your version of trauma, it's the same as people that have trauma in other forms. If I held a gun to someone's head that has had traumatic experiences with, like, gun situations, I don't know. They're obviously not going to be happy about that, are they? Like, no matter how close I am to that person, they're going to have a bad reaction to that stimuli. Anyway, all of that to say, I don't think you're the asshole for this one. In the comments, Gwyneth Ann says, "This has happened to me at a birthday party. Not my birthday or cake, but somehow I was the one that copped it in the face. Not only did it hurt, but I was so shocked that I started to cry and then left." And OP replies, "Oh no, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Also, God, yes, it hurts. Like, people think it's just a little mushy cake. Like, no, it hurts especially if there is decorations. My head and nose hit the table through the cake when it happened to me, and I turned around and punched my foster mum who had done it in the gut. It was mostly reflexive. I wish I'd been the Hulk instead of an 11-year-old girl, because I was 100% going for another swing, but got grabbed. I'm not like that violent foster kid either. It felt like I'd just been basically attacked out of nowhere, and it just sent me. Joke's on them though, I got rehomed and a second birthday because the new ones heard the story. So ultimately, F you Joyce, and your little dog too. I Really Am Tired says, "I stopped thinking the cake smash thing was funny when I was 8 and at a birthday party for a girl whose family didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't afford a cake and only got a cupcake with a candle in it for the song. Everyone was happy and singing, and then another girl smashes the birthday girl's face in it. I could see her crumble, and then her parents tried to divert everything and make her think everything was fine. It ruined the party, and the birthday girl was crying for the rest of the night. Apparently her dad had saved up to get that fancy cupcake. It completely changed my opinion on cake smashing. Also, as a 24-year-old female who loves to do my hair and makeup, any prank that involves ruining it is a no-go. I'm sorry this happened to you. I think stunts like that are annulment worthy. But that's just me. It's not so much that stunts like this are annulment worthy, it's that it shows a basic lack of respect for her and her boundaries. It's a symptom of a much larger problem. But I agree, any partnership where something like this happens needs to end. There are no good, kind, compassionate men who only do this one thing. Agreed. It's less about the specific act, although I would be incredibly pissed off if someone did it to me, and more that it's something that OP laid a very clear boundary about, and the husband disregarded it anyways. I will never understand the people who care so little for their partner that they hear the boundaries and just violate them anyways. It doesn't matter if you think it's stupid. What matters is how your partner feels about it. He has just shown you that for the rest of your life, no matter how important something is to you or how strongly you feel about it, he will never ever put you first and will prioritize his own, even silly, stupid, minor wants and desires over your needs. This isn't just a cake or a prank. This is flat out disrespect. He knew how you'd react. He was just seeing it as a win-win. You either sucked it up and went along with it, and he wins because he got to do his prank, or you would do what you did, and now he gets to play the victim because he's painting you as overreacting. For me, this would be it. because it's not just a prank. It was his starting what was supposed to be the glorious first day of your life together by putting you in your place and making clear that what he wants happens no matter what you want or need. Update. I decided to speak to him bright and early this morning. I'm leaving him. Some of you might be happy about that, and some of you might not be. I decided to call him and get his reasoning for why he did what he did. He told me he just thought that it was a funny prank, and that if it was at a wedding on a happy day, that he could change my mind. Plus, since it was a tradition in my family that I wasn't following, he thought that he could get points with my family. Then told me he's sorry that I took it as a disrespect. I told him he shouldn't be saying that he's sorry that I took it that way. He should be apologizing for hurting me. Where is the "I'm sorry"? I told him he hasn't apologized with accountability once. All his apologies have been backhanded. I also reminded him that I didn't have a good relationship with most of my family, nor my mother, whom he forced me to invite. I told him he knew I was already the black sheep of my family, and the verbal abuse and public humiliation I received by my mother for years really messed with me, and he knew that. Then he says, "Why should I have to apologize because you can't take a joke?" I blew up. I told him, "Are you serious? If it was me who hurt you to this degree, the first thing I would do is apologize. While you can't even force yourself to be decent for a few seconds and just apologize to me." I also told him that he was trying to get in good with a family who abused me by publicly humiliating me, and that's something that's unforgivable. Marriage means you stick by me, yet you showed you obviously do not. It's not about you ruining my dress or my hair or even the cake. It's about how you knew I felt about this and the trauma I had connected, and you didn't care. He then tried doubling down and saying it wasn't his fault for not apologizing because my family was telling him how dramatic I was and how I was hurting them by leaving the wedding for a joke. He said he loves me and that he doesn't want to break up over this nonsense and that I should just come home. I told him I wasn't coming home and it wasn't even about the cake anymore. It's because I cannot be with a man who won't apologize when he's wrong and who gaslights their significant other into receiving the blame. He started cussing me out at this point, but after about a minute of hearing him scream at me, I hung up. I guess he started telling my family because within half an hour my phone was blowing up once again. The worst ones had to be from my mother and his sister. My mother was telling me that I was going to end up alone because I can't take jokes and I'll never be able to keep a man with my attitude. Even saying that my clock is running out fast and when it did, no one will want me and I'll be alone. His sister was telling me that I'm a disgusting B-word for hurting her brother and wasting his time, that she wishes that he would have broken up with me 2 years ago when he first wanted to. So I guess now I know he wanted to break up with me. What I also know now is that he was cheating on me for 6 months with his ex who wanted him back, but then she dropped him because he stayed with me. The thing is, I had a good relationship with his sister, and she knew he was cheating on me? I guess she put everything out on the table since I was leaving anyway. I blocked most of my family, and I blocked all of his family. I also blocked him, and I'm getting the annulment. My friend said that I could stay with her for a few months until I get back on my feet. I told her I really appreciate it. So yeah, that's the end. I'm crying while typing this. I wasted 3 years on a man who never really cared about me. I lost what little relationship I had with my family, and now I only have the few friends that I have been blessed with. I'm going to have to pick up the rest of my stuff. I also told him before I blocked him that if he broke anything of mine, I would bring it to court. Thank you for all the kind words and encouragement. I'm going to go to sleep now since I haven't done so in 24 hours. And now, onto the final update. I just wanted to update you all about a few things. I haven't gotten my stuff from my ex yet. I just haven't had the energy to because I'm still extremely upset, obviously. From the videos online to the comments I received on my original post, to also the comments I looked at on the repost of my post, it kind of made me think that there probably was a lot of red flags and I was just used to being abused, so the bare minimum was enough for me. After speaking about it with my friend, she said that he definitely had a lot of red flags, and she even told me that I should stay far away from dating until I get some help because I was obviously not seeing the red flags right in front of me. I'm not going to go into it, but sometimes I'd have to cook second dinners for my ex because he didn't like everything I made. His mum apparently didn't get him used to vegetables, so he won't eat them, or making fun of my cramps on my period. That's some of what I was referring to when I said immature. Someone texted me saying if I was sure that he cheated on me. No, I am not sure. At the moment, it just felt like it made sense because of how horrible he was being. Though they made a good point. The sister very much well could have just been trying to kick me when I was down since I was leaving anyway. I have no evidence, and I probably will never have evidence. I unblocked him just to tell him that I was coming over in a few days to get my stuff, and if he could just not be there, and that I would leave my keys. He said fine, and that was it. So he will not be there when I get the rest of my belongings. I will also bring a friend with me just in case he does something. I'm still not speaking to my family, and I think I'm just going to go no contact like people suggested. I saw a video from a woman speaking about me, and someone in the comments said that I was groomed into this treatment, which is why he felt like it was okay to do this. And maybe she's right. When I get my financials in order, I think I'll try therapy and wait a few years before attempting to date anyone. I also keep getting this question, how did the Uber come so quick? The wedding venue was in a city, in a building. Uber took 30 seconds to order and 3 minutes to get there. Plus, who was really going to stop me from getting into the car? My husband gave up, to be honest, pretty fast once he saw me trying to get into the car. I thought it was weird, but I realize now. Playing victim because he didn't get his way. Some of you may be saying, how did you not realize you were being abused? I don't know. Sometimes it just happens that way. My brain is kind of dead at this point. Again, thank you to literally everyone for all the sweet comments and even people messaging me privately. I haven't responded to them all, but I will try to since you took time out of your day to see if I was okay, and I really appreciate that. To the people who say this is fake, I don't care. I went on this app because I figured I'd get like a few comments and maybe some insights. I got that insight, way more than I thought I'd get in a million years, and now I'm going to move forward with my life. So this is the last update. I'm going to respond to the PMs, and then forget about this account and hopefully my old life. It's genuinely too depressing for me to think about. Edit, I'm okay. Though I feel lonely and depressed, but I have my friends supporting me, so I'm not that alone. I'll be okay and get myself out of this hole. I realize this post is a bit too doom and gloom. Edits, I'll bring a policeman with me if you guys say that I should. In the comments, Summer Nothingness says, when you've been abused and or neglected by your own family, then yes, you basically build a blindness to it. I really wish you the best. I have PTSD from my mother and father, yet few people have said that she was a wonderful mother. I haven't realized till now that she was emotionally abusive. I just thought it was normal. My mum was abusive too, but she'd put a very sweet and put-upon act in front of others. I'd tell my friends what she was like, and they didn't believe me until the glorious day my mum walked into our house and thought my friend that I had over was me. She and I had the same haircut, and my mum just saw her from behind. Mum started screaming, calling me a bear and whatnot. She was mortified when my friend turned around. Didn't change her behavior, but my friends absolutely believed me after that. By the way, we were 11. Peter095837 says, OP honestly deserves better. The husband is a really terrible person for treating OP the way that he does. I understand cake smashing is fun for some, but I never really understood the popularity about why cake smashing is a thing. I always found it to be kinda nonsense and a waste of good cake. Someone on a previous thread pointed out that this tradition was rooted in misogyny, and originally it was actually the wife who would smash the cake on her husband because it was her last chance to act childish. But then dudes decided to smash their faces instead because misogyny. And yeah, all's well that ends well for OP there. Unfortunately, she loses a giant swath of her own family in the process of it, but in a way, maybe that's just God working in mysterious ways, huh? We're just going to send you straight to rock bottom so that you can see those around you and how they really are, if they have your back or not. Turns out most of your family don't have your back in this situation, and they are still the abusive pieces of shit that they were when you were growing up. So this is another traumatic incident to add to your life, but hey, you're going to be better off for it, OP. I hope you are going to be better off for it, that's for sure. Even after all of that, I'm still voting you as not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend I don't like the person she's turning into? For some background, my girlfriend and I have been together for 5 years and met in college. For the past 4 years, things have been great. I've always thought that I was the luckiest guy in the world. She's incredibly out of my league. About a year ago, my girlfriend woke up in the middle of the night and had a panic attack. She couldn't breathe, and I ended up calling an ambulance. She had no history of panic attacks, but was really stressed at work, so that's what triggered it. She's currently taking time off work, which I absolutely support, but she refuses medication. The doctor recommended anxiety meds, saying she didn't think medication would help when the panic attack was stress-induced. She also doesn't have many friends, and I think that could also be a contributing factor. She has been overall happier. Over the last 6 months, however, she's been changing a lot about herself, and I don't know how to address it. She's dyed her hair an unnatural color, she's started wearing more dark and dark blue, she's gotten into heavy metal and rock, and she's gone vegan. I've been slowly asking her what's with the new look, new interests, and she said she's met a girl online who lives in our city who is into the heavy metal scene, and she's taking a liking to it, and has made many friends because of it. I was fine with the new interests and friends, but I was cautious because it's such a drastic change in a short time. This past Friday, while she was meeting up with her friends, I asked if I could come along. She said she didn't mind, but asked if I was sure since it's not exactly my scene. I honestly just wanted to meet these new friends. We get to the show, and I'll admit that I was kinda surprised that metalheads are so nice. Sorry to all the metalheads reading this. The only person who didn't acknowledge me or talk to me was this one guy about our age. After the show, everyone was hanging out, and her attention eventually got pulled away from me. She started to talk to the one guy who never said hello to me, and maybe I missed it earlier, but talking to her was the only time I saw him smile the entire night. She also clung to him quite a bit, which made me uncomfortable. At around midnight, I couldn't find her, and I texted her that it's getting late and we should go. She texted back that she wanted to stay, and if I wanted to leave, she understood. I got angry, but I just texted back, fine. She came home at 4 a.m., completely drunk. I was awake, but pretended not to be. Saturday morning, I was very distant with her while she nursed a hangover. She eventually asked if I was mad at her, and I said yes. I told her I'm happy that she's not stressed anymore and meeting friends and finding new interests, but she's a completely different person than she was 6 months ago. She argued that she's the exact same person, but I countered that with the her of 6 months ago would never have told me to go home alone at midnight while she got shit-faced with people she barely knows and come crawling home at 4 a.m. She got defensive and we fought. She ended up leaving and saying she was going to stay with a friend for the night. She came home Monday morning and we talked, and I told her I'm worried about her, and she said she's fine. She's finally in a place where she's happy, and I should be happy for her, and if it's such a problem, then we should take a break. I was shocked that she was so willing to just throw away 5 years, and I told her as much. She shrugged and said that she has to put her happiness first, and I asked when her happiness shifted from building a life with me to partying with random people she met. She rolled her eyes and got up to leave. I told her I don't like who she's turning into, and she called me an asshole and accused me of not wanting her to be happy outside of our relationship. So am I the asshole? I'm gonna go with no, not the asshole OP, but these are pretty clear signals that she's done with the relationship and she's found someone else. More likely that one guy that wouldn't talk to you and wouldn't smile until he was with her. Is that not a very clear indication of something going on there, OP? The balance of probabilities here tells me that she is cheating on you with him. She has gone to his house when you had that fight. She was at his house when she came home at 4 a.m. drunk. It's more than likely that she's just a terrible person. She's a coward for not telling you this, and you're better off without her in your life. as much as the sunk cost of 5 years of being with her stings. That's just reality sometimes. Not the asshole at all for anything you've done here. In the comments, Nick Jane Giretti says this, and they just quote that interaction with that guy who didn't smile, and they say, "She blew you off to be with another guy, didn't come home until 4 a.m? We are way past red flag here, dude. She's cheating on you. Whether you confront her or not, find a therapist and get help for yourself. They can help you take care of yourself." And now she's staying with him. She's moving on from the OP. Here's the deal. Let's set aside the fact that she's probably cheating on you with this other dude. She is someone else, and she is happy being that someone else. Time to move on. Do you really want her to change back and be miserable and make both of your lives miserable? The last 5 years is in the past. It's like working at a job you know you hate just because you've been there for a while. I like how we all kind of just know she's cheating. Just took it as a given. We didn't need to discuss it with each other, but this guy is just blindsided after supporting her for 6 months. Kinda sad. Well, that's because it's so painfully obvious. Yeah, we shouldn't assume, but come on. I've been friends with people who have done this to their partners, or had their partners do this to them. It's just simple pattern recognition, not just assuming. It's so obvious that the girl she met online that's into metal isn't even a girl, it's the dude. There's the missing piece. These are all his friends. That's how she met them. That's why she tried to put OP off coming along. Update. I realized I never mentioned ages in the last post. We're both 25. The short version is, we broke up. Before I got home from work, I texted her and asked her to be home so we could talk. When I got home, she wasn't there, and I had to wait about an hour for her to get home. I asked her plainly if she wanted to break up. She said yes. I asked her why, and she told me it's not me, that I've been absolutely wonderful, but she's changed, and has realized she hasn't been happy for a while, and that included within our relationship. I was pretty hurt, honestly. I asked her why she never said anything sooner, and she said she thinks because she hadn't realized how unhappy she was until she started feeling happy again. I said she still should have come to me about this earlier, and she shrugged. I asked her if she'd been sleeping with that guy. She said no, but she hesitated. I asked why the hesitation, and told her that she might as well be honest now that the relationship is over. She said they kissed that night at the aftershow, after I left, and made out later, but swears it didn't go further. I told her it's still cheating, and I wasn't sure if I even believed her. She rolled her eyes and said that I asked for honesty, and that's what I got, believe it or don't. I told her that I want her out, and asked her to take whatever she could now, and we'd make arrangements for her to get anything that she can't take with her now. She didn't even seem sorry that she cheated, or that she threw away a 5-year relationship. Anyway, that's the update. This really sucks. In the comments, Sunset Tex Armadillo says, "Not the asshole. As badly as it hurts now, you dodged a bullet. Breakups are a lot less messy and expensive than a divorce and when kids are involved. At 25, you are still very young. Follow your ex's lead. Be happy and start doing things you never did before. Sometimes in relationships, you just outgrow each other, but I promise you it will get easier and better as each day passes. Better to break up than to have to get a divorce. This is also why you should never ever own something with someone else unless you are married. If by changing she means getting drunk, cheating, and lying, then dude, you're better off without her. It sucks now, but in time, shorter than you think, you will get better, and you will feel like a weight has been lifted from your soul. When she hits the cold, cruel world, she may try to get back in. Don't. Just don't. I'm bummed for OP, but kind of feel like this is for the best. I wonder if her panic attack was a wake-up call that she wasn't actually happy in her current life. Of course, this all could just be a phase, and she may be regretting ending things this way, in which case, I can only hope that OP will stay strong and not take her back. Bingo! I don't really blame either of them. They're very young, and they grew apart. The lack of empathy towards someone that's done nothing but live and help you is troubling. Could be a part of some sort of mental breakdown from her panic attack, It's like a switch flipped and her not taking meds is making her into rushed decisions. Phase, being happy for her, or whatnot, she still sucks to treat OP the way that she did. He handled things maturely, and he is young, so hopefully when the pain subsides and has moved on, he will find a healthier relationship. She was 25 and mature enough to know the consequences of her actions, not only after the breakup, but during all of the time that led up to it. I don't know how you can excuse a rational adult for willfully hurting another one on such a scale. A panic attack doesn't make you stupid. 9-year-old alien says, I was in the same position as OP at the same age. Even if it feels like 5 years wasted and it's heartbreaking imagining a totally different future, OP is way better off knowing now that they wouldn't have been able to grow together as a couple. Any major event could have triggered a change where his girlfriend would have just jumped ship. Now OP can find a better partner that wants to put in the work to make a relationship last and is able to grow alongside him. It's not 5 years wasted. It's gaining experience and character and realizing what you want and need in life. From my experience, people change a lot more between 20 and 25 than between 25 and 40, for example. And those are some damn good life lessons for you guys. Even if you don't want to hear them, even if you don't realize you need to hear them, I think sometimes these things are worth repeating in different forms, because that can wake up a different section in your brain to be like, oh my god, yeah. Because I definitely know myself when I started listening to Reddit relationship stories back in 2018, 2019, I didn't know any of this stuff, and it was so helpful and insightful to just be introduced to all these concepts that seem painfully obvious. But for so many people, they're not. Some people don't understand the inner workings of assholes. They don't have the pattern recognition of dickheads like this girlfriend. I'm glad that OP is on the path to recovery from that. I do hope they got some closure from that and realized that they didn't waste all those years with them. This is another step in their journey. Anyway, enough of my rabble. Next story. Our next post is by user ThrowRA titled, Boyfriend 18 male is upset that my 18 female brother 26 male didn't let him spend the night with me when I was very drunk and passed out. I've just turned 18 and can now legally drink where we live. So my brother invited me, my new boyfriend, and a few friends and cousins over to hang out and maybe get drunk. I drank way more than I should have. People left one by one, and I was only there with my brother and boyfriend. I don't remember much, except that I woke up in his spare bedroom in the morning, and my boyfriend wasn't there. Apparently I passed out on the couch, brother took me to the bedroom to sleep, boyfriend wanted to spend the night there, but my brother said no. My brother says he didn't let him stay because he doesn't know him, and he didn't know if we've been intimate, and I was completely incapacitated and couldn't consent to sex or anything intimate. So he felt like it's safer to not allow him to spend the night there with me. Boyfriend insisted that he didn't just want to have sex, just cuddling. He got confrontational with my boyfriend and accused him of being controlling and said he has no right to decide if he can spend the night with me, which my brother told him, I can decide that you're not going to spend another minute in my house. Boyfriend said that he'll leave, but that he'll take me with him. Brother stood in his way and told him to either leave or deal with the police. Boyfriend left. So here we are. My brother thinks that I'm dating a complete idiot and asshole, my boyfriend thinks I have an asshole controlling brother, and I've spent the last 2 days regretting drinking that much. My own feeling is that I would have been okay if my boyfriend spent the night with me in the bed, but absolutely not okay to have sex. We haven't had sex yet, dating for less than a month. I understand why my brother acted in a protective way. I was drunk and letting a guy who was interested in me sexually spend the night with me, it's just unnecessary risk. I also understand my boyfriend's disappointment, but he should have just respected my brother in his own house. So now my boyfriend has demanded an apology from my brother for being mistrusted and for interfering in his relationship, and my brother had banned him from future events and parties at his place for being an asshole. My boyfriend would also like me to demand an apology on my own behalf from my brother for him acting the way that he did, by assuming he can decide who I can or can't spend the night with. I'm in this mess, and I need to make this disappear if I am to have some peace and make everything normal again, with my relationship and family. What do I say to my boyfriend? I think he needs to drop this and move on, and over time show to my family that his behavior on the night wasn't who he really is to earn their trust. In the comments, Erin Lynn 028 says, I would have done the same if it was my little sister, even if he just wanted to cuddle. You were intoxicated. There would be no way in hell that I would let my little sister's new boyfriend, who I barely knew, stay in the same bed as my little sister. Your brother had every right to respond the way he did to the situation. It was in his home. You don't get to decide whether I stay the night or not? It's my house. The audacity. Throw the boyfriend away, get a new one. Give the brother a hug and a thank you card. Yup, it's a gross sense of entitlement. My thing is too, even if he claimed he just wanted to cuddle, that still wouldn't have stopped him from unnecessary groping or touching places that he shouldn't be if he wanted to. She was too drunk to consent. That's sexual assault. And if that did happen, even if he would have felt bad afterwards, violence isn't the answer. But I don't think, with how protective I am, feeling bad would have been enough to stop me from rocking his jaw. Yeah, and because of this, boyfriend hasn't exactly demonstrated himself to be trustworthy in that regard. Right? OP is young. Hopefully she can see that this behavior is a major red flag and cut ties. Yeah, it sounds like your bro definitely made the right call, especially considering your boyfriend's behavior. Yup, that dude definitely was gonna try to have sex with you while you were passed out. Nobody gets angry and confrontational for not being allowed to cuddle. Your boyfriend was looking out. The fact that your boyfriend can't for 1 second understand your boyfriend's rationale after the heat of the moment tells me that your brother was right about him. Yeah, OP, this is what I came here to say. Your brother made a very understandable choice, and in my opinion, it was the correct one. Any good guy could easily see that and respect his decision. Your boyfriend comes across as entitled, and honestly like he had bad intentions. Maybe he was a little drunk too, and thought that you two could have some drunk fun together, but your brother shot that possibility down, and he got upset. No good guy gets upset when they can't cuddle their passed out girlfriend, but a shitty guy will definitely get upset that he can't screw one. I guess I'm just echoing the sentiments of everyone else here when I say boyfriend is, trash. Like, yes, obviously he's young and obviously stupid and inexperienced, maybe doesn't completely understand boundaries. I'm sure we can give people the benefit of the doubt in this situation, but this is a big learning curve for everyone here, I would think. Boyfriend did not respect your boundaries, boyfriend did not respect your brother's boundaries, he got rightfully kicked out, and now he's doubling down instead of realizing his mistakes and learning from this. He's putting up clear and easily defined red flags that allow you to jump ship without feeling bad about this situation, OP. I would take that and run. Because if you give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation, when he's shown that he's clearly not willing to learn from this, which is a turning point, I would say, in your relationship, then you're only welcoming more bad energy like that into your life. Not something that I, as a brother to someone like this, would stand by. I would put myself in between you guys and your relationship. I would probably try and break you guys up because of this. If you weren't going to do that already, obviously. Update. Based on the advice of you guys, my parents, and my brother, I broke up with my boyfriend. So I asked my boyfriend what he expected to happen that night if he was allowed to spend the night with me. He repeatedly said nothing, but let slip that maybe he hoped that we'd have sex in the morning. So you guys were right. He wanted to have sex that night with me, and he probably would have if he was allowed to spend the night with me. Even the thought of it gives me a lot of stress. I always knew the R word is a danger a lot of women and men face, but never felt it so close to me. Maybe because I've always been with people I trust. I don't know. I never thought that it could happen so easily to me. It would have happened to me that night if my brother hadn't protected me the way he did. I'm going to be a lot more careful about my own safety from now on. I won't be as trusting to strangers, and I'm now learning my drinking limits so that I won't overdo it, especially where I might be vulnerable. My brother also told me to never accept a drink from people that I don't 100% trust. Thanks, Reddit. In the comments, Sappy Living says, "You definitely made the right decision. This guy was bad news all around." Absolutely. This should go without saying, but never trust a guy who would willingly move you from a safe sleeping place when you're blackout drunk and already passed out. If my wife was passed out drunk and I was in a room with her brother, I'd probably just sit and chill with him, have a few more drinks and talk music. I'd expect the same of anyone dating my sister, but oh great, she's passed out, I'm gonna go give her a cuddle? Yeah, no effing chance, mate. The night's over. Get the hell out of my house. Your brother's a good guy. Could you tell him thank you from an anonymous woman? It's important for other people to step in and protect their friends and family against assaulters and other assholes. OP says, just did that. He's amazing. You are lucky to have such a great brother who cares about you. Next time you have a boyfriend, his opinion might be interesting to have. He's a guy and knows how guys are. I have a younger sister and wouldn't have done the same, but probably offered the boyfriend to stay on the couch so he could be there in the morning. But no way in the bedroom. A classic case of someone going, "Here's my red flag, please look at my red flag." She has a good brother watching out for her and has the healthy relationships to listen to and understand what went down. Here's how the conversation should go if the boyfriend was reasonable. Brother, my sister drank too much and is passed out sleeping. Let her sleep it off in my spare room tonight. Boyfriend, okay, appreciate you looking out for her. Tell her I can bring her some clothes or something for a hangover in the morning if she would like. Have a good one. Seriously, they'd been dating a month and her brother didn't even know the guy or what their relationship was like. I understand being upset about not getting lucky, but not if they were passed out and not able to consent. Not to mention, he should still be trying to make a good impression on his new girlfriend's family. Good on the brother for protecting his sister, and for OP for kicking him to the curb. This was not a difficult situation, and the fact that the ex screwed up so badly is the reddest of red flags. I could see myself being like, yeah, cool, I'm a crash in the spare room with her, but when the brother was like, I don't know you, and she's too shit-faced to give me the green light, you can F right off. You know what? That's fair. It's like when confronted with the scenario of doing something wrong, the people who would do something wrong try to argue that they wouldn't do something wrong. If I let you in there, you were totally going to assault her. Nah, man, totally not gonna assault her. Just let me in so I won't assault her, because I wouldn't assault her. Nope. Yup. At that point, the guy who wants to be in good with the girl and her family is like, cool, I've been drinking a lot. Mind if I crash on the couch or in a spare room? I'll call out for bagels and coffee in the morning, instead of losing his shit at getting cuddle blocked. Would I be the asshole for telling my sister I won't attend her wedding because I hate her fiancé? The characters in this story are older sister Brooke, 32 female, fiancé Mark, 32 male, me, no nickname necessary, 25 female, and younger sister Jenny, 22 female. My sister, we'll call her Brooke, has been together with Mark since freshman year of high school. As far as I understand it, they did not want to get married initially because Brooke is vehemently child-free, and Mark agrees with her. But they've decided to hold a wedding/commitment ceremony next spring after a lot of years of back and forth. The problem is, I've known Mark since I was a kid. He started coming around to the house a lot when he and Brooke were sophomores in high school, so I was 8 or so when I first met him as Brooke's boyfriend, and I've basically hated him the whole time. I've tried to be polite, particularly now that we're all adults, but I just don't want to go to the wedding of my sister and the guy that she's always put before her family. As an example, when Brooke and Mark started dating, Brooke went from eating dinner at home with the rest of us every night to going out 2 or 3 times a week with Mark and his friends. This was against our parents' rules and caused a lot of arguments that negatively impacted both me and our younger sister Jenny, who was barely in kindergarten at the time and didn't understand what was going on. Brooke and our parents started fighting basically every night, and it was incredibly disruptive to our home life. My sister went from being my best friend to a stranger, and Mark was the one encouraging it. The stress of those years was so bad that I had to repeat 4th grade, failed math, and I was bullied really badly for that. I stopped going to school looking nice because there was so much tension in the home that no one was paying attention to whether or not I had clean clothes. Jenny also struggled academically and socially, but I was able to step in and help her more with things like getting dressed and packing her lunch, so she doesn't remember those years as negatively as I do. Of course, as soon as Brooke and Mark graduated, he convinced her to move across the country to go to college. Our parents were really hurt by this, and there were a few years where she didn't come home over Christmas or summers. Eventually, things cooled down when I was in high school, and Brooke started making more contact with our family, but Mark would do things like glare at our parents over the dinner table and suddenly declare that it was time for them to go. I don't think that I should have to go to the wedding of my sister and this guy that stole her from us, and I'm planning on RSVPing no when the time comes. Our family has been minimally involved in the wedding planning, and I am not in the bridal party or anything like that. They are all friends of Brooke and Mark's from the hospital where they work. Would I be the arsehole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the arsehole. I might be the arsehole if I do this because Brooke is my sister and she's been together with Mark a long time. Brooke may want my support at the wedding. In the comments, Puzzleheaded SR says, I think you're being childish and petty over stupid shit. I think it's insane that one of your examples is she wasn't eating at home as often. Frankly, you're blaming your sister for shit that you aren't entitled to. You failed math. No one else made you do that. Your parents sound just as immature. Why aren't you blaming them for creating a toxic home life? Why aren't you mad at them that you had to take care of your younger sister? She's their child. The way you talk, it's like you feel ownership over her instead of being an individual. It's weird. It's like, grow up and get over it. Jesus, you're the asshole. Honestly, I read the whole thing twice to find where Mark actually did anything bad to OP, and I still haven't found it. After reading, OP's parents sound like tools, making a mountain out of a molehill. It's no wonder Brooke ran for it when the opportunity came for her to move out. He helped his girlfriend achieve a much-needed sense of freedom, and he's the bad guy? Wild! And establish boundaries, it sounds like. Info. None of the problems you described were Mark's fault. Brooke started having the usually teen feelings of wanting to be more independent and getting invested in her relationships, and that conflicted with your parents' rules. That's not on Mark. You have not described any single action or statement that makes it clear whether Mark is controlling or just objects to your parents trying to control their now adult daughter. So why is your issue specifically with Mark? Or is he just the easy scapegoat for your family not being as comfortable and conflict-free as when you were a child? Quote, the stress of those years was so bad that I had to repeat 4th grade. Yada yada yada. These are all things that are your parents' fault, not Mark's fault. Your parents were neglectful. Mark may simply have been invested in getting Brooke away from a bad family situation. I wanted to make sure that I didn't misunderstand all of that either. I did get parents are the arsehole vibes and twisted the poor 8-year-old girl's perception of her sister for some twisted reason, probably religion related. It's giving me a highly religious, dysfunctional family vibe, with OP blaming Mark because she doesn't want to blame Brooke, and because she's still so caught up in the family and religion that she can't acknowledge the problem was actually the parents' fault. Let's not forget that when Brooke started pulling away, OP stepped in and started taking care of her younger sister, even while she herself was spiraling academically. So if she admits that it was her parents' fault for parentifying Brooke, then she has to consider why she then had to step up and do the same for Jenny. And if she's upset at Brooke for going off to college, then she would probably feel guilty for going to college herself and neglecting Jenny. So it's much easier to blame all of it on Mark. Yeah, this is a hard one. It honestly does just seem like a case of parentification and terrible parents that wanted to control their daughter while also not raising or doing right by their daughters at all. You want your cake, but you want to neglect it too? What's going on with these mental gymnastics? Give them cake, and let that cake rot, goddammit. My judgment has to be now that you would be the asshole if you didn't go to the wedding, you sent a no on the RSVP, because you've drunk the Kool-Aid of your family, and you're a victim of your family, OP, and I just feel sorry for you. I hope that you can break this vicious cycle that you are caught up in. Back up to the post, we have an edit. I'm getting a lot of feedback that Brooke was potentially parentified. If anyone has any recommendations for podcasts or books about that, I would appreciate it. I think I need to learn more about her experiences before I decide about the wedding, since we did used to be close, and it would be unfortunate to lose the relationship entirely, which is what some commenters think will happen if I skip the wedding. Thank you. Edit 2. Please stop attacking my parents. They have their faults, but they did not have many resources when we were young. It's important to me to support them now that they're older and can't work, but I also want to support Brooke and understand better now that I've not been handling this in a mature way. I will be apologizing to her and asking her for more perspectives on things from our childhood. I'm going to stop reading now, but I appreciate your help. Thank you. And now onto the update, titled, How do I apologize to my older sister for how parentified she was by our parents? So my sister left home after high school, and for a long time I blamed her and her boyfriend, now fiancé, for that. I want to learn more about parentification and her experiences growing up because I'm starting to understand that our parents were not fair to her and put a lot of unreasonable caregiving responsibilities on her. She did most of the cooking, laundry, and helping me and my younger sister with schoolwork while my parents were busy working long shifts at their jobs. But I do not want to trigger her, and I think this period of her life was probably very difficult. How do I start this conversation with her? What questions should I ask? If there's a good opportunity to apologize, what should I say? Thank you for your help. In the comments, One Chip Wonder says, I saw your Am I the Asshole post, and I'm glad that you come to this conclusion. I have younger siblings too. I'm the eldest, and if they come to me wanting to have a conversation, I would be open to that. However, you were correct to assume that you need to be careful in approaching this to her. I do not know about your sister, but if I was in her position, I would be more open if you start it with an apology, not for your parents, but for your treatment towards her and your future brother-in-law. Tell her that you understand that this might open up old wounds, but if she's willing to talk, you would be happy to be there for her. Keep the door open, but leave the decision to start a conversation on her when she is ready. I hope you have a better relationship with your sister in the future, and I hope it is not too late. I hope it means that you can also be happy for her on her wedding. Focus on your actions and apologize for those. Do not try to apologize for your parents, and do not try to defend them in any way. It really doesn't matter to your sister why they did what they did, just that it happened to her. And those are conversations they have to have with her. OP replies, It's unlikely that my parents will have those conversations with her, but I can try and encourage them to do so once she and I talk about our side of things. I meant more that that's on them, not on you. If they don't want to, and sis doesn't want to get into it with them, then it's their relationship. Again, focus on you and sis. Spiderweb Whisperer says, I understand you are still staying with and caring for your parents, but frankly the biggest thing in my experience is that you have to stop defending your parents. They parentified your sister and let you and your sister suffer when your older sister finally escaped and demonized her and her fiancé to you. To mend these bridges with your sister, you not only have to stop blaming your sister and her fiancé for your parents' abuse, but you also need to be able to acknowledge that these situations that you all faced were entirely the fault of your neglectful parents. As long as you refuse to acknowledge your parents' fault, you won't be able to rebuild your relationship with your sister. And OP replies, That's a good, if difficult, perspective to hear. Thank you. I don't necessarily agree with the comments calling my parents abusive, but I can admit that they were sometimes neglectful due to poverty when I was younger. I hope that will be a reasonable enough compromise for now when I talk to my sister. Not me wanting to smash my head into the wall reading that comment. Oh my god. Paprika Stew replies to that, It is a very hard thing to accept that your parents have let you down. I have one parent that I've always had a difficult relationship with, so it was pretty obvious from a young age that she wasn't a safe person to me. I got along great with my other parent. Except, years later, through therapy and introspection, I realized that some of the things they did were messed up. When I severely sprained my ankle, the kind of sprain that requires months of therapy, they told me I shouldn't have been jumping around and hid my injury overnight from my other parent, hoping it would heal on its own, because they didn't want my other parent to throw a fit. They failed to protect me dozens of times, in the name of not rocking the boat. I just thought that it was normal at the time. I still love my parent very much, and I have dealt with my resentment for the most part. You can still love your parents and admit that they failed you. And it's not normal that you regularly didn't have clothes after your sister left. It means that your sister was doing everything, and your parents couldn't take care of your basic needs. That's not okay, and you're allowed to recognize that it's not okay. Back up to the post, we have an edit/update. I decided to talk to my younger sister first, so I texted her this morning and asked if she could call me to talk about our older parents. She did, and I started off by asking her what she thought about our parents generally, and how they handled the Brooke and Mark situation more generally. I'll use the nicknames from the other posts, but obviously these aren't their real names. We had a good conversation, the details of which I won't share, but the general tone was that yes, my younger sister thinks our parents put way too much responsibility on me and Brooke for raising her, and that she plans to keep firm boundaries with them as she finishes school and starts working. I asked her about the money she sends home and told her that if it was a financial burden on her, that she should just stop. But she said she never sends more than she can afford and that she wants to do it since she does not want to come home and do the caregiving tasks that I'm doing for them. She also asked me about my plans for the future, and I told her that I don't know, but that I eventually want to have the nursing assistant credential and work more hours outside of the home. Apparently, she and Brooke have also had some conversations about our parents' finances, and they have a pact that when they die, which hopefully won't be for a long time, that I can inherit the house solo, even if they are given shares of it in the will, which I appreciate a lot. I now feel more comfortable with what I will want to say and ask Brooke, and I think it was a good idea to talk to Jenny first. Jenny told me that Brooke isn't mad at me and will like to hear from me, which is a big relief. And now, onto the final update. I really appreciate everyone who commented on both posts. Thank you for your feedback and help deconstructing the situation. I talked to Brooke Tuesday night after my parents went to bed, and it was really beneficial for the both of us, I think. I apologized profusely for how bitter I've been over things that happened when we were younger, and for how I've treated Mark when he's been such a strong support for her all these years. Brooke accepted the apology for herself and on Mark's behalf, and also offered to give me Mark's cell number so that we could start to build up more of our own relationship. Brooke also shed some light on more context for those rough teenage years. Like some of you predicted, she did really find solace in Mark from all of the pressure at home, and in particular, the pressure to go to church, dress and act in the way that the church demands, and pretend to believe in things that she disagrees with. She and my parents would argue over new beliefs that she formed from conversations with Mark, some including some science-denying opinions that I was surprised to hear my parents used to believe. At this point, they are much stronger believers in secular medicine, probably due to increased medical issues that they've needed to treat, but apparently when Brooke was growing up, they only supported homeopathy and natural medicines. She also found it interesting to hear some of my perspectives on how our parents have changed as they've gotten older. Since I am their primary caregiver, I have spent more time with them than either Brooke or Jenny, and I've witnessed a lot of positive changes in them over the years. She was also interested in my plans for the future beyond our parents, and was touched that I wanted to try and pursue nursing like her eventually. I'm going to try and learn more about personal finance, and Brooke is willing to help me by sharing her journey there, and I'm hoping that this will help me save up more of a nest egg for the future. In terms of therapy, I do like my current therapist, who is a licensed social worker, since he has some really useful recommendations for how to take care of my parents while taking care of myself and avoiding burnout without being creepy about trying to get me to date in our small town. I will also check out text therapy though, since that might be a nice option to give me more contact with the world outside of our very small country community, and this whole exercise has really illuminated the benefits and the cons, but the benefits outweigh them, of getting an outside perspective on some problems. I think Brooke and I will have a much better relationship moving forward, and I also think going through this process has helped clarify some priorities for me, and that's incredibly valuable. Thank you for all of your help. In the comments, Pata Con Queso says, "No wonder Brooke is child-free." Nothing like raising your own siblings and/or nibblings when you yourself are a child to make one either firmly pro having children or deadass firmly child-free. Yup, 10,000%. My brother is 13 years younger than me. I was made his de facto babysitter for my entire high school years. I got puked on, shat on, and peed on so many times that I decided that's enough parenting for me to last a lifetime. No babies for me, thank you. As a parent of adult children, on top of all of the rest of the story, I am giving some serious side-eye to the parents being older and no longer able to work. They don't sound much older than I am if they're having kids at ages typical for evangelicals. I'm willing to bet they're using that as an excuse for keeping OP trapped and taking care of them financially. She implies that they got sick, so either they got some debilitating stuff or decided to close in and snatch the designated caregiver before she went away to college. My money's on the latter. My best friend's parents tried that on her, but miraculously, when she refused to support them anymore, they were healthy enough to work for another 20 years. Considering the rest of the story, I'm like 99% certain her parents could support themselves fine if they wanted to, but they don't want to. They want their daughter to become their 24/7 live-in nurse, cleaner, financial provider, and cook, so they won't ever have to lift a finger. Also, she said their parents were young when they raised them. Now they're both disabled at the same time at a youngish age? Common story. What likely happened is they clonked their heads together really hard. Another certified banger. My money's on that one. They clonked their heads really hard to get disabled together at a young age. This is Dumb and Dumber 2, Jesus Boogaloo of the evangelical community. I honestly don't know what to make of the ending of this story because that middle update, OP is still defending the parents so hard and doesn't realize how trapped they are. I'm not getting the vibes from this final update that OP realizes how frickin' trapped they are. Oh my god. Hopefully they read these comments and realize the parents are faking it. They have to be faking it. On the balance of probabilities, surely they're faking this. Please God, OP, run. Run, do not walk. Run from these people and live your own life. You can wait out them dying and getting the house if you want, but more than likely, they're going to take that house and sell it to pay for proper nursing care, which you cannot provide, and you will be out on your ass without any career or money behind you. Please, OP, listen to these people and get out of there. Anyway, I've said too much. Let's go to the next story. Our next post is by user Botanical Pirate, titled, Am I the arsehole for not serving meat at my wedding? So my fiancé, 26 female, and I, 26 female, are currently planning our wedding, and despite us being on a low budget, we somehow are managing to make this wedding work out smoothly. After searching for affordable catering, we found a catering company that would not only give us the option of having people served instead of a buffet style, not that that's bad, but it just wasn't what we wanted, but had a whole menu that was entirely vegetarian. I'm talking stuffed portobello, mushrooms, stuffed peppers, lentils, scalloped potatoes, quinoa pilaf, I don't know how to say that word, bread pudding, and a whole lot of other tasty mains and sides. Pilaf. Oh, pilaf. Okay, you fancy Greeks and your fancy pilaf words. I am not vegetarian. I do eat fish on occasion, but my fiancé is completely vegetarian. We also have several people coming to our wedding from different cultural backgrounds, including my fiancé's Jewish father, our Jewish roommate, and Muslim friend of ours, all of whom have never eaten pork. We also have gluten-sensitive friends. And most of all, I don't want my fiancé of all people to have to question the food she is eating on her wedding day, when that's a problem she struggles with almost every time we go out to eat with friends and family, or go to family functions at other people's homes. She usually ends up eating chips and guac, or just sides of potatoes. She can't even eat the tortillas my family makes traditionally, because it contains lard, and that's just how Weller made them, they say. I had been keeping my mum included in the wedding planning for our wedding, so today I decided to show her the catering company that we had been thinking of. The first thing she asked was, what about the people who aren't veggie? And in response I said, "People can't eat veggie for one meal?" And she just got quiet. I again tried to hype up the menu, stating, "Doesn't the menu look good though?" And mentioned everything stated above. And she, again, was silent for a good 10 seconds and said that one of the sides just looked good and moved on. Sometimes it's hard for me to read my mum's emotions, since she's not very confrontational and her mind wanders quite a bit. Her words, not mine. So I wasn't sure if I pissed her off or not. There hasn't necessarily been any drama surrounding this, but there is already existing drama considering this is a wedding with 2 brides, and I'm afraid of this decision creating more drama for us to have to deal with. I thought I was being inclusive to everybody by not serving meat at my wedding, but now I'm second-guessing myself. Anybody, any friend I try to talk to is going to say what I want to hear, so I'm asking Reddit instead. Even better if you eat meat and find yourself in this situation. Would I be the asshole? In the comments, Daughter of Fishes says, "Not the asshole. It's your wedding. I'm a huge meat eater, but I swear that some people act like they're going to die if they eat one meal without meat. 100% this. I'm a hardcore carnivore who loves nothing more than an extremely rare steak. But you know what I also love? Quinoa pilaf. Good vegetarian food. A meal doesn't need meat in it to be good. Not the asshole. No one has to eat meat at every meal. Also, your family is assholes for not making any effort to accommodate your fiancé at any family dinner. They are very judgmental about vegetarians. My husband is a vegetarian, and whenever we go to my parents and there is meat, my mum also makes a few Impossible burgers or something for him, in addition to multiple vegetarian sides." OP responds, "I should clarify, they do try, occasionally. My mum makes most meals for our family gatherings. Usually she will at least try to make a cheese broccoli casserole, or eloti, or a pasta salad. But sometimes she forgets. Often we bring our own food, sometimes we forget. Her family is the same way, but that doesn't change the fact that we often feel limited. Sometimes we get the occasional, 'How can you not eat meat?' comments, but it's generally harmless. It has just become a worse habit as of late because I started eating fish again, which people think extends to my fiancé. Bureaucratic Drift says, "No assholes here. Let the guests know in advance so that no one can complain they weren't warned and you'll be fine. Just don't be surprised if someone has a burger in the parking lot or a bit of jerky when no one else is looking." OP responds, "Right. We did plan on including the menu as well as mention that it would be vegetarian on the website we're building. We also don't have an issue with them bringing their own food, honestly, though they might offend the catering company." That's great! Just remember to list all common allergens that might be in the food so people can let you know if it's an issue. Unfortunately, a lot of vegetarian staples are common allergens. Back up to the post, we have some edits. "I am truly not trying to claim my mother is the asshole, nor did she say anything necessarily bad, she just asked a question. I merely was second-guessing my decision because she said something. I was worried it would become a bigger issue." Edit 2, there is a section on our website that provides people with the option of listing allergies that they have so that we can plan accordingly. Also, we plan to have the full menu listed on our website, which will also state that it is fully vegetarian. Look, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I kind of forgot how this story was going, because after that goddamn word, quinoa pilaf, I have spent a good half hour of this recording session just absolutely laughing my brains out. But from what I can gather here, I don't think that OP is the asshole for this one. I think that is such a confusing interaction with her and her mother. It is truly not a blessing to have someone that is so non-confrontational in your life, but also seemingly passive-aggressively confrontational every time there is a dinner that is planned. That sounds like a living nightmare to me. I know I myself am very much non-confrontational, so I can only imagine how that affects other people. But yeah, I can find nothing to pin down on you, OP, that would make you an asshole here. I feel like you're trying to be as accommodating to everyone as possible. I don't think you're an asshole. I can kind of pin your mum as a little bit of an asshole for her passive aggression, though. And now, onto the update. First off, thank you everyone for your responses. It's not as popular as some of the other threads on this subreddit, but I sure wasn't expecting so many people to respond to my post or even see it. This is kind of an update, kind of not. I mostly wanted to make this post to clarify some things from my previous post, as well as go over certain decisions I've talked over with my fiancé since posting. Most commenters in the original post seem to think that I'm accusing my mum of being the asshole in this situation. From my unedited original post, I can kind of understand why, but it was genuinely not my intention. I am not angry at my mum. I didn't even think our interaction was bad. Neither does my fiancé. I just stated my interaction with her because she was the first of what I thought would be many similar interactions of people asking why I don't want meat served at my wedding. I saw some comments saying my family was inconsiderate to my fiancé, and I'd like to clarify. My mum largely cooks the meals for my family's get-togethers, so when they are veggie-looking meals that have ingredients such as lard or gelatin, it isn't because she's trying to be inconsiderate or a dick. When I mentioned her being forgetful, I genuinely meant it. She has a medical condition, I won't say what, that she has been recently getting regular treatments for. There is no cure for it, and over the past few years, it has caused a lot of confusion for her. She used to not be this forgetful, and would regularly try to make us veggie dishes when she knew that we were visiting, but because I now eat fish, she sometimes either thinks that this extends to my fiancé, or she forgets that certain ingredients are technically meat products. She tries to make Wellis tortillas with Crisco instead of lard when she remembers, but she usually unfortunately doesn't. I thought stating our genders at the beginning would be enough indication, but if it wasn't clear, we are both women. Yes, my mum loves her and is accepting. Anyone in my family that didn't approve of this was not invited. Since making this, we agreed that we should also have a heads up listed on our RSVPs when we send them out instead of just the website. We don't want to assume that all of our guests will be tech-savvy enough to find the menu on the website, much less scan the barcode to get to it. We will have a section listed for when they RSVP, asking what everyone's food allergies are, if any, and 100% intend to modify the menu as needed. We've not booked this catering yet, and they are pretty accommodating to switching up the menu if necessary. I will try to clear up more in the comments if I can. Thanks everyone for reading. In the comments, Hybrid Octopus says, "Not the asshole. It's your wedding, serve what you want. I'm an avid meat eater, and I could go one meal without it, no big deal. I might mention in the invites that the menu will be vegan, just so folks know, which it sounds like you will. Also, if you can have a protein-rich option, like tofu, that is appreciated." OP responds, "It will not be vegan, just vegetarian." If I, a non-vegetarian, turned up to a wedding and all they served was vegetarian food, I'd show my displeasure by eating it all and thanking the happy couple for a wonderful night. Right? I love meat, but every once in a while when there's a vegetarian menu option that clearly has some thought put into it, I'll order it. When it's not an afterthought, vegetarian food can be tasty AF. Just reading OP's list of food options had me salivating. I think some people that are not vegetarian tend to get up in arms when something is pointed out to be just vegetarian or vegan. They don't think about it until it's directly pointed out as a potential conflict. Like spaghetti and marinara sauce is technically a vegetarian meal. But if you told someone that it was vegetarian, they'd freak out and say, "Well, I needed meatballs or meat sauce for the protein." People are adults and can figure out their own comfort level with food. If you need meat, which, come on, then grab a burger before or bring jerky. If you want to go to a wedding and get a free meal, then just eat what the couple has chosen. My female 21, fiancés, male 22, parents are making his sister rescind her coming out during church service. The reason I'm making this is because my fiancé and I need help with a situation on the 3rd of the 9th that recently came to our attention. My fiancé's parents are extremely religious, but they've been worse to his sister, 15, than him. When he was growing up, they didn't force him to attend like her, and he admits that he was a golden child. He would miss church/youth because of sports, and their relationship was fine when he moved out because they weren't as strict on him. He was allowed to work and have secular friends, and they didn't make him do purity like she did. But we were recently made aware of something that will make us rescind their invitation before cutting them out of our lives. But we want to ask for advice before doing that. His dad made a Facebook rant about how he discovered his sister being gay due to parental controls showing search history, and he also ranted about the importance of them as such. He also said that he spoke to someone at church and that she probably will too. However, on the 3rd of the 9th, she's going to be prayed over during service, and we're worried about her, / how it seems she's being made to apologize, and we want to ask if there is anything that we can do. The church is fairly big with over 1,000 attendees. We're going to uninvite anyone who attends that Sunday in agreement with her parents, but the wedding isn't our priority right now. Is there anything that we can do to help her out of this situation while we still have a connection with her parents? We'd especially appreciate to hear from anyone who might have been in similar situations with unacceptable parents. Edit, we live in New York, and the church where his sister is being forced to receive prayer at / apologize is on Long Island, New York. We are trying to see if we can see her sometime next week before the 3rd of the 9th, as school is out, and we're on good terms with her parents as of now. We live in New York too, but a few hours away from them. We went to talk to her in person due to the parental controls on her device that started this whole mess when her father outed her on Facebook, and we've taken her shopping in the past without her parents. So that's the angle we're thinking of if we can see her. We are debating what to do if we see her and she says she doesn't want to be present on that Sunday, and if that would be enough to have her stay with us through Sunday without legal issues. And we know that that would burn a bridge with her parents too. Her safety and mental health is more important, but we are considering if doing that would hurt our chances of potentially taking her in before she turns 18 if it comes down to the courts. In the comments, Geophagus asks, how old is she? Can you get her out of that house and in with you? OP says, she's 15 and we have an apartment in the same state, but a few hours away. As of now, we're on good terms with her parents, and we'd more than let her stay once she's older, but we're not sure if we can arrange anything to get her out of that service next Sunday by staying with us in time. We're trying to see if we can see her before that Sunday, though. I don't see any reason why you can't let her stay at your place until Grandpa has had a chance to cool off. This is not kidnapping in the US. The long term is really less important in some ways. This week, she needs to not be around him. Your spouse can go to the church that day in her place. She has the legal right to emancipate herself, but it sounds to me like Dad needs time. 10 years from now, he'll be beaming and bragging about the grandbabies she and her wife have on the way. If Grandpa's going to do something rash like disown her, etc., then this would save a lot of time, and she could skip all of the trauma that he's got planned for her. Prospero 1982 says, this is heartbreaking to read. Your future sister-in-law is lucky to have you both. The only things that come to mind are whether she's able to emancipate herself from her parents, she'd need to talk to a lawyer, and whether she's able to just move in with you, if her parents wouldn't fight that and make your life hell. Best of luck in this awful scenario. Update. My fiancé was able to call his dad shortly after my first post, and he asked if we'd be able to come up and see them this week. He didn't get into a confrontation on the phone because we figured that would hurt our chances of seeing her or risk being cut off for disagreeing, thus why we haven't rescinded their wedding invitations or anything hasty. He asked if we could come to attend the church with them on Sunday in light of the post, and he said we could come on Saturday and spend the night along with doing something on Saturday afternoon. So as of right now, we plan to drive up on Saturday morning. We live a few hours away, and we talked to one of our friends for advice that we're close with about what to do once we're there. But we're hoping to find some more advice because we're debating some ideas for Saturday, and we're open to any suggestions we get. The reason we asked if we could go to church with them was because of an idea I had, but I want to ask about it here. My fiancé asked if we could take her shopping when we go, and we've taken her shopping in the past without her parents. If she states that she doesn't feel comfortable with what her parents are making her do at church, would that be enough to drive her somewhere else like a hotel or back to our place to avoid it if she wants? Or would that interfere with any chances of being able to legally take her in before she's 18? Some people commented that she should be old enough to not go to church or anywhere if she doesn't want to, but would her parents have grounds to accuse us of kidnapping and take her back? That's where we're at so far, and we're considering a lawyer too, and have looked up some this week that we're considering reaching out to. I'm also going to share this on a legal subreddit, but we're open to any advice we can get, and especially from anyone who's been through something similar. In the comments, Kitsune says, "Malicious compliance. Hello everyone at church. I'm here to rescind my coming out. I'm being forced to do this against my will because my dad only loves me conditionally. He loves who he wants and imagines me to be, but not me as I am. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk." Geophagus says, "Depending on the parents, taking the girl shopping instead of church when it's a 15-year-old could be considered kidnapping or something similar." OP replies, "Some people said that too, but some also said that she should be old enough to possibly not want to be there if she doesn't want to be. We're not 100% though, and that's why we're looking into lawyers already this week. We've also shared this in r/legal advice." AP Girl says, "I'm just glad the sister has her brother in her corner. I hope he does everything in his power to get her away from them. If they are willing to humiliate her publicly, I can only imagine how badly she's being treated at home." I think OP and her fiancé are making the right call in not revoking the parents' wedding invitations yet or anything of that nature due to not wanting to lose connection to the sister as she might need them the next few years. The best plan right now is to quietly let the sister know that they will be there to help. However, they cannot raise any flags with the parents while they explore options. In 2023, when we have access to all the knowledge one could ever want in the form of a small handheld device, people still care more about punishment of women in the name of a false deity. Yup, the son can have a dozen sexual partners before he marries, but the daughter must have 0. Hell, I've seen fathers take pride in their sons' conquests. Sickening. Double standards and everything. Do they seriously think these women the son is sleeping with just spring up out of the ground? Do they not feel anything from this cognitive dissonance? And yeah, unfortunately, it has been a week on this one. I'm sure OP will update us in the future if anything does happen with this story, but unfortunately for now, we have hit a dead end, and I can't wait to hear how OP gets his sister out of this situation. I do hope for the best, but it's not sounding very good right now. So hold steady, guys. Our next post is by user No Ride Throwaway, titled, "Am I the asshole for saying I'll be driving myself and paying for my own room on the upcoming family vacation so I won't have to be a babysitter? I, 23 male, was repeatedly stuck playing the part helper and babysitter on family outings. I had to move out of my parents' house because I kept being forced to help watch my 3 nephews. Last year, we took a family vacation in the summer to the coast. I rode along with my parents, and they paid for my hotel room. Only, I had to share that room with 3 rowdy boys because my sister and her husband wanted a room to themselves. I was promised time to do my own things on the vacation, but instead, I ended up having to help with these kids. I complained to everyone about it, and I was reminded that I was there for free, and then we pretty much just did only one thing that I wanted to do, which was tour an art gallery. I like doing this whenever I'm at the coast, but the kids find it boring. This year, my parents have a beach trip planned for June, and they assumed that I'd be riding along the same way as last year, but I refused. I said I'd be driving myself and paying for my own hotel stay to have my own room. My parents were shocked, and they tried to remind me of the cost. I said it was no worry. I've got a good job and a decent running car. I can more than afford it. That's when the buts started. I stated the previously listed things as to why I'll be driving myself and paying for myself. I want to be able to enjoy this vacation as an adult and not be treated like a child like last year. My parents told my sister, and she called to blow up at me that I'll be ruining the vacation if I'm off doing my own thing while she has to wrangle with her 3 boys. I ended up yelling at her that last year all she did was rope me into her mess. I didn't really get to do much of anything that I wanted to do, and I was treated like the bad guy for wanting to just go to an art gallery. I'm a grown man. I deserve my own vacation too. Now my sister is not speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to convince me to just ride with them to keep the peace. I'm still refusing, but the pressure is getting to me. Am I the asshole for not giving in? I know they'll have a pretty hard time when they won't have another person there to help. Edit. It's barely been an hour since I posted, but my sister is apparently a Reddit lurker in the mornings, and she saw my post. Not only is she furious with me, but she's also upset that no one in the comments is siding with her. To make it short, she went on a big rant about how it's so hard to be a parent to triplets, and the least I could do is help because I'm young and single and she needs a break. I stood my ground on my decision, and now she's calling our parents to get them involved. I'm expecting a call from them any minute. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the arsehole. I think I may be the arsehole because without my help, my parents, sister, and brother-in-law will be a man down with wrangling their kids. And my response to that is, screw them 10 ways to Sunday. OP, you're 24 years old now. They already got away with their false promises last year. They showed you who they truly are in situations like this. As the old adage goes, when they show you their true self, believe them. They don't care about you. You are just a free babysitter. Thank God you're not a bangmaid also, but that would be weird in this context. I'm just gonna keep going off at your sister and her goddamn flying monkeys and her goddamn spineless husband for, everyone coming together as the Council of Arseholes. You gotta do what the Scarlet Witch did in Doctor Who Multiverse of Madness and kill the Council. It's your only way. I love Marvel. Yay, Marvel references. Anyway, that's my thoughts. What's your thoughts, guys? Oh yeah, not the arsehole. Definitely not the arsehole. In the comments, Sam Spade PI says, quote, my parents told my sister, and she called to blow up at me, that I'll be ruining the vacation if I'm off doing my own thing while she has to wrangle her 3 boys. That's a laugh. She's admitting that she's ruining your vacation so as not to ruin her own. They're her kids and her responsibility, not the arsehole. In fact, you are nicer than I would be. I'd just say, no thanks, I've got other plans, and avoid the family vacation altogether. Yes, how dare you ruin my vacation when I should be ruining yours? What's with the sister? I took care of my kids on vacation and found them things to do on vacation. Maybe sis should pay for a nanny on the vacation. Oh, but wait, why would she do that or even try to parent her own kids when she is trying to bully her brother into slave labor? OP, stay your ground or simply don't go on this so-called vacation. You know, there's a good solution for this. The parents could pay for the nanny with the money they saved from not paying for OP. Oh wait, that's not a lot of money? I guess you really didn't value your brother/son's contributions. Not the arsehole. Do not give in. It is time to stand your ground. This internet stranger is proud of you. Holy shit, never in the history of Am I the Arsehole has there been such a clear-cut case of golden child and scapegoat, and I've seen some doozies. Quote, I'm a grown man, I deserve my own vacation too. Correct. Honestly, what are you getting out of these family vacations? Just go do your own thing and avoid the hassle and stress and pressure to babysit. Probably a few $1,000s, week plus hotel, free travel plus food, but OP doesn't care about that. He just wants a holiday, which, no shit, everyone needs a holiday. Edit, since many don't understand, I'm arguing for OP, not against. Update. Well, I'm off work now, so I can tell more of what went down. I guess you could say it's over. My sister got our parents involved, they looked at my post, and were absolutely horrified by the continuous influx of commenters. Yes, they are very angry with me that I posted here, but I told them that if they just listened to me to begin with, I'd have never needed to. I'm sick of the whole keep the peace mentality that sacrifices me to placate my sister. They in turn went off on my sister, and to make a long story short, the whole vacation has been cancelled. The hotel wasn't booked yet anyway, but my parents are arguing with my sister is blaming me, and my nephews are crying because they aren't going to the beach. My sister called me at lunch and basically implied I have no life, which is why I have time to help. I recorded that and told our parents, and that's currently what they're fighting about. Small update. I wasn't gonna update again, but here's a little more. Parents said they won't ever push babysitting on my nephews on me again, and have agreed that what happened last year was unfair to me. Right now, they are very angry with my sister for telling me that I should help her because she thinks I have no life. My sister is playing the victim, and my brother-in-law is basically saying nope to the whole mess and spending most of his time at work. Thank you to everyone who has commented. You made my day. Christ, she's nasty with that one, isn't she? That is gnarly, dude. Implying you have no life, which is why you have time to help? That would hurt coming from someone that is supposed to love you, just to strike you down like that. How dare you say something like that? That is so upsetting. You know what? You're a no-life loser anyway, and that's why I'm making you look after my kids, because I don't want to look after them. It's my responsibility, and I know I'm supposed to be doing that as a parent, but screw you because you're a goddamn loser. You're the one that's going to be stuck with them now, buddy. My advice to you, OP, is very low contact, if no contact, with your sister until she learns her lesson, because she's a piece of shit. That's something a piece of shit says, and I feel awful that she's put you through this. And thank God your parents have seen the light here. Thank God your parents are on your side, OP. That's a rare win that I feel like we don't see enough of on Am I the Arsehole? So thank you guys for taking OP's side and being reasonable and rocking the boat. Stop not rocking the boat. The boat needs to be goddamn rocked, and this one needs to be sunk, which it has been, and continues to sink to the bottom of the ocean until it learns its lesson. Let's hope. Our next post is by user ThrowNoReveal1, titled, Am I the arsehole for refusing to tell my husband the gender of our baby after he skipped going to the doctor's appointment with me? So my husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby, and we're excited. The thing is, he barely attends any doctor's appointments with me, and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the doctor appointment over soccer or a drink or board games with friends. His response is always, I'm not the one carrying the baby. Why do I have to go and see the doctor with you? Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose not to come last minute because his friend invited him to fish and chips. I was pretty livid, but didn't make a fuss about it. My mum went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up each time. He came home fuming, demanding I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him since he refused to attend the appointments, then he gets no results till after the baby is born, and said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off, calling me spiteful and immature for doing this and punishing him. He said he's the father and he has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone and my mum was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family, and they're now pressuring me not to stop playing mind games with him and tell him, but I declined. Am I the arsehole? I had a lot to say. I'm not gonna say it. I don't want to be blasted by you guys. It's not worth the energy. It's not worth the torment. But, I'm sure someone in the comments is gonna say it. Anyway, this guy is a loser. He is a freak. He is a nonce. I know it's not correct to say that word, but it's a funny word, okay? I'm surprised the relationship has existed this long. Why are you with this man, OP? He's obviously someone that does not care about you. You are not his priority. What are you doing with him still? Just amicably co-parent, if that's at all possible, but he doesn't sound like the type to be able to amicably co-parent. I hate this. Put the garbage in the bin, not the arsehole. And before you come at me being like, all Reddit says is to break up with idiots like this, Would you deal with someone like this? Would you accept this behavior in your life? I'm sure this is something that she's tried to address with him, but if this behavior has just happened this long, do you think he's going to change? Do you think he wants to change? It doesn't sound like it to me. Anyway, in the comments, Annie84 says, not the arsehole. Already a deadbeat dad before the baby is even born. I would drop a friend if I found out they prioritized fish and chips over their wife and baby's doctor appointment. Lamau? That's what it was for? For frickin' fish and effing chips? I'd be like, bye, bro. And believe me, I never say bro, but it felt appropriate because he likely is a bro. Nice bisexual Alex exhibit. You keep it up, buddy. You don't say bro, I believe you. OP did say this is her hill to die on. I support that, lol, but I anticipate it will just make someone this immature to begin with's emotional and mental state spiral into further immaturity and coping skills to match. I'd hate to bet on the beginning of the end, though. I don't know them. Good. Let him. Better to be his honest self out in the open right now. It's better to know that he's a deadbeat now than after a decade of miserable marriage. How he handles this really easy stuff right now is an excellent foreshadowing for how he'll be after the baby is born. This is only a bump in the road. She needs to know how his emotional suspension will handle before they get utterly totaled down the line. If he's telling you, "I'm not carrying the baby, why do I have to go to the doctor with you?" that's going to turn into, "I didn't push out that baby, why should I look after it?" real quick. Yup. This is going to be the dad that complains that he has to babysit while his wife goes to the store to buy him food. He's not a dad, he's a sperm donor. Not even a sperm donor, just a deadbeat. As a recipient of donor sperm for my baby, I just like using that phrase for crap dads. My donor, who I don't know, was a wonderful person who wanted to help strangers have a baby. Fair point. How about negligent breeder? That's a good one, I like that. Not the arsehole. My ex pulled this with our second child, and I caved and told him. I shouldn't have. You need to seriously reconsider this relationship. He's showing you that he and his friends are more important than you and the baby. He sees going to appointments with you as punishment, not as a chance to make sure that you and the baby are healthy. Don't be like me and stay until he leaves you for another woman. I wish I could upvote you more for this real advice from a person who lived a similar situation to the OP. Edit/update. Hi, so first of all, wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Sorry, can't answer any comments because of feeling overwhelmed. I just wanted to mention that my husband just attempted to contact my doctor to get the results. It didn't go well, and we had another argument over it. He couldn't get it since his mum was the one who made the call. My fiancé cheated on me, and I'm pregnant. Pretty much what the title says. My fiancé and I have been together for 3 years, and I love him more than anything. I know 3 years isn't that long, and I have had longer relationships, but mine with him is definitely the most serious by far, and not just because he proposed. I've never loved anyone more than him, and when I fell for him, it was a much stronger and intense connection than I've ever had for anyone in my life. I'm only 26, so I know I have time to find someone else, but I'm so incredibly heartbroken in ways that I didn't even imagine I could break. This is by far the worst pain I have ever felt. I don't know how it happened. This was the healthiest relationship I've ever been in, and I was so excited to get married and have our child. He doesn't even know I'm pregnant because his birthday is next month and I wanted to surprise him. There were none of the usual signs like our relationship declining for the past several months. It was like one day the switch just flipped. I noticed he was first off, like 2 weeks ago after we came home from my friend's place after hanging out. He seemed distant, but I just chalked it up to him being tired, but then he continued to be a little distant. I know his boss has been on his ass lately about a work project. He's an engineer, and I thought he was just stressed about it. These past 2 weeks, we haven't been having intimacy either, but that's not out of the normal because when he's really stressed, either with family stuff or work, he isn't usually in the mood. On Friday, I went out of town to visit my sister, and I just got home today. Originally, the plan was for him to go with me, but he told me he really needed the weekend to work on his project, which I didn't find suspicious at all. He knew what day and what time I would be coming home, yet when I got into our home, the kitchen hadn't been cleaned from what was obviously a romantic dinner, and when I got to the bedroom, the sheets were a mess, and a woman's lingerie was on the floor by the door, and his pants and their shoes were in the hallway, very obviously hastily taken off on the way to our shared bedroom, our shared bed, our shared everything, and our sacred place. It just seems so careless. He knew what I would see and didn't even bother to clean it up. Did he really think I would stay? Did he really think I just wouldn't care? He's not picking up my calls, and when I texted him, I realized he'd blocked me. If he was into someone else, why didn't he just say that? Why would he let me find out in the most hurtful way in the world? Even worse, I know who the girl is because she left her jewelry, and it's someone who I was insecure about when our relationship first started, but that I got over the longer that we were together. I don't know what to do, I had to get out of our home, so now I'm just crying on my front lawn. I'm too mortified to call anyone close to me, and a million thoughts are running through my mind. What am I going to do with the baby? I can't even imagine trying to co-parent with him after a betrayal like this. Why did he do this? What changed? Did he get bored of me? Why wasn't I enough? Why her? Why me? What am I going to tell people? How am I ever going to trust someone again? Where am I going to live? Which one of our mutual friends will choose him? Does this mean I can't be friends with his sister anymore? Just so many questions with zero explanations. I can't even put into words how soul-damaged, emotionally crushed, and absolutely wrecked I am. I'm so hurt, I can't even talk about it. I can't even call my therapist. So now I'm typing it all out because I just had to tell somebody what was happening, even if it was strangers on the internet. In the comments, Airy Puzzle-Headed 675 says, "You are hurt, but you need to stop spiraling and react logically. Go back to the house and document everything. Photobomb the effing place. Bag up the sheets and clothes as evidence. Contact a lawyer in case you have combined assets and for professional advice. This includes, if you continue with the child, document that you were pregnant and what the custody arrangements would be. Keep the jewelry. It's spiteful, but since she left it at your house, why not do something useful with keeping something that has caused you pain? Combine all this photographic evidence and email his family and your immediate friends that due to his cheating, you are no longer engaged. I don't know your housing situation, but since you have residence, you can stay there to sort out your next housing situation. There are subs on here that probably have more resources on how to handle his cheating. Also, reach out to your sister and family now. They will help you. You haven't done anything wrong. He has. You will be okay, although it hurts now." This is so awful, OP. I'm so sorry you're going through this. To be honest, it kinda sounds like he wanted to be caught. I don't know, so he could have been looking for a reason to end things with you both? You're better off without someone like that. Pack your bags and leave, and once you've had time and feel ready, tell him you're pregnant. I wish you all the best. Honestly, don't even give the other girl the satisfaction of being the one he cheated with. Obviously, the girl wanted to be known too. If anyone asks, I'd say OP should just be like, he just wasn't good enough for me. I don't know, I feel like the girl loves the thrill and would probably brag about it after leaving all her stuff there. Definitely this. He wasn't good enough for me, so he took the sleazy way out of the relationship. He couldn't be the real man that I or our baby needed. Wolverine says, "Take his affair partner's clothing plus your bedding and burn it. Pack his stuff up and place it in your garage or in a shed. If you have any joint accounts, remove 50% of it and put it into an account in your name only. If you have any joint credit cards that you pay for, stop them. Speak to an attorney, re child support, a custody arrangement with a clause that no new partners be introduced to your child until the parent has been officially dating for 1 year. Ask that he only get supervised visits for the first few years, as you will likely be breastfeeding your baby. If you own property together, ask that you get to remain in it until your child finishes college. Find out if your state classes you as common law married, and if so, seek alimony. Let all of your friends and family know about his cheating. Let them know about the pregnancy if they don't already know. This. It hurts and that's okay, but your future self will thank you for being smart. Do not leave the house, just don't let him back in. Keep as much of the house's contents for you. I would also add, if you have a good relationship with his and or your family, get them involved. If he pulls anything else, you will do better with an army behind you. Notable event in this one for me is that he blocked her when she tried to reach out to him. Oh my god, saucy. I don't think I remember seeing a story where the cheater has blocked them straight away. Ballsy move, but I guess there is no denying that that event was cheating. That's just insane. Next minute he comes back and he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, look, phone fell in a volcano, what can you do? Didn't cheat, someone else cheated in a house while my phone was falling into a volcano. Sorry, wife." Anyway, let's pick up where we left off. I definitely didn't block you. After so many of these stories, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised. Update 1. Mini update. Hey everyone, thank you all so much for the kind words. Sorry I haven't responded to any comments or anything, but really I was just so overwhelmed. I ended up calling my therapist, and currently I'm staying with my best friend, but just for a few days until I can get a flight to where my parents live. My therapist recommended that I leave this situation off the internet, and usually I would listen to her, but I know some of you genuinely do care to hear what happens to me, so I'm going to post the final update probably tomorrow, if I'm not too devastated, or the day after. After that, I will most likely delete my account. First things first, I am keeping the baby. Where I live, I'm too far along to get an abortion. The time span to get one is really short. I'm currently 2 months, and I haven't started showing. My ex-fiancé didn't notice because the birth control makes me not have a period. But if I am being completely transparent, I probably would have kept this pregnancy anyway. Second, I took pictures like all of you suggested, and I'm meeting a lawyer later this week. Third, I called his sister, and I have no idea what he told them about me, but I've never heard her have so much venom, like what she had on that phone call with me. I told her what happened, and she wasn't shocked at all, and said in this exact wording, "Wow, you really haven't figured out why he did this to you at all, have you?" And then as she was telling me to never call anyone in their family again, I had to shout over her that I was pregnant in case she blocked me. I could hear her shocked silence and told her that I would literally piss on a stick in front of her if she didn't believe me. Write that down, people. That's a power move. If anyone messes with you, piss on a stick in front of them. I think she could tell from my voice that I was telling the truth and told me that she would get her brother to meet me at the house later today to talk, and that I had to tell him that I was pregnant myself, and she wouldn't do that burden for me, and she then abruptly hung up. His sister and I have always been close, and I remember how I used to wait all day in the hospital when she was getting treated for her breast cancer. I have no idea what could have made her hate me this much, what lies he could have told her. I just cried so much after this phone call. My best friend is going to go over with me when I talk to him, and she's going to wait outside in the car. See you guys tomorrow or later this week. I'm reposting this because I've gotten some comments saying they couldn't see my update. I think it got taken down because I mentioned the abortion laws where I live. I'm not trying to push any political agenda or cause a hot topic in the comments. I'm just being truthful about the area in which I live. Sorry that I'm posting later than I said I would have, but I ended up having a miscarriage because of the stress and needed time to process. Final update. When I got into our home, my fiancé was very callous and cruel. He berated me and would not let me get a word in. He screamed at me that I needed to drop the victim act, or else he would tell all my family and friends the truth about me. I asked how I could be playing the victim when he's the one who cheated, and then let me find out in an abusive, disgusting, and psychotic way. Before I get into the rest of this update, I feel like some background information is needed. Before I got with my fiancé, my hair was completely virgin. It was a brown color that looked red in the sunlight and photos that I loved, and his was pink. When we got close, I learned that it was pink in support of his sister who got diagnosed with breast cancer. About 8 months in, I decided to dye my hair pink for his sister's upcoming breast cancer surgery. Him and his entire family was touched by the gesture, and everyone ended up dyeing their hair pink before her surgery. My fiancé was especially touched because he knew how much I really liked my natural color. After his sister went into remission, we started doing cute matching couple hair of all different colors. When we visited my friend a couple of weeks ago, she was making a video of memories from over the years because one of our friend's big 30 is coming up, and she plans to show it at the party. After we came home from her place, this was when I first noticed he was off. He saw a video on her computer of me with very bright red hair, which is not my natural color even in the sunlight, which is maybe a shade red above auburn. Before I go any further, this video was from mid-2019 before we got together and was not real dye. It was one of those non-bleach, non-damage hair waxes that come out after a single wash. In this video, I'm making out with a former male friend of mine. We were bar hopping, and you can see us in the back kissing as we're walking to the next bar. Last summer, my fiancé and I dyed our hair bright red like what's on the video, and he thought that I had cheated on him because he knows my hair was virgin before I dyed it pink in support of his sister. While we were arguing, he kept telling me that I had cheated first and that my effing hair was red, and that's how he knew that I had cheated with old male friend's name that I cut off because we had slept together once before I got with my fiancé, and that made him uncomfortable. And that he'd saw it all on my friend's computer. And that's why he slept with his female friend, because he'd wanted me to hurt like he did. I kept yelling at him that I had never cheated on him and had genuinely no idea what the hell he was talking about. I'ma just stop us there. Gigantic trigger warning ahead, mentions of blood. I honestly probably should have trigger warnings before this when the particular event mentioned came up before. I say this because even for me, this is a bit graphic, and I just want to save anyone that's eating or is triggered by these kinds of things the mental torment. Anyway, let's get back into it. I was so confused, upset, hurt, and angry that I started cramping in the middle of our shouting fest. My fiancé thought that I was faking it until a large amount of blood started coming from my private area. He called the ambulance, and my friend came inside to check if I was okay, because I'd been there for a while at this point. At this point, I hadn't even gotten the chance to tell him I was pregnant, and my friend had to do so as I yelled out in agonizing physical pain. The ambulance came in 11 minutes, but by the time I reached the hospital, it was too late. My baby was gone. From there, word got out, and my friend, the one with the video, heard about everything, and she came and showed him proof that the video he was talking about was from before we were together and was taken in mid-2019. She showed me too, because up until that point, I had completely forgotten about that night and had no idea what he was talking about. I then explained to him that it was just hair wax. I'm devastated about the baby. Despite everything, I truly wanted to keep it, and I feel so hollow now, so wrecked. I don't know what to do about my relationship. He has genuinely apologized to me, and I know he only did what he did because he thought that I had cheated on him, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over this, or if I'll always resent him for the miscarriage. But I still love him so much, and I still can't even imagine life without him. Before his mother learned the truth, she made a scathing Facebook post about me and my cheating, and since then, his entire family has all formally apologized to me, but I'm still getting calls from extended family members and friends who still haven't heard the truth, calling me hurtful things and telling me that I deserved my miscarriage, and that's what I got for trying to baby trap him. It's another kick to my already broken soul, and as of right now, my social reputation is in tatters because of the post. My fiancé, or rather ex-fiancé, wants to make one big post just addressing everything, but I honestly don't even have the energy, and I can't imagine all of this drama for all of our loved ones to see that cut me so deeply just plastered all over Facebook. His mum has tried to call, but I've been declining all of them because also in her post, she added some really nasty things she didn't like about me before she found out about the cheating that I didn't know she felt about, and I just feel really hurt about every mean thing that she wrote about my personality, looks, character, depression, and anxiety episodes, and past. I'm currently staying with my parents in an Airbnb because I felt like I had to confront everything front on and stay here, but they wanted to be here to support me. Yet another trigger warning before this one, mentions of people disconnecting from the server that is life. Guys, I thought I was broken before, but I'm going to be completely candid and say that I've considered not living since the miscarriage. A part of me also feels like my relationship, which I loved more than myself, is over, which just makes me feel so sick. So many things are being said about me, and all I want to do is disappear. But I know that I can't for the sake of the people I love, and I won't. Anyhow, that's the update. I don't know where my life goes from here, but it felt only fair to update you guys one last time. And now for the final update. Hey guys, I know it's been a bit, and many of you were very worried about me. To be honest, I just couldn't handle reading all the responses and just needed a mental break. Also, I wasn't expecting as many comments as I received, so I just ended up silencing my notifications. I'm finally ready to respond now, so here is the update. No, my fiancé and I are not getting back together, but I did forgive him. We had an incredibly long talk about everything, and I know he is genuinely remorseful about what took place, but I knew nothing would ever be the same in our relationship, so I just had to leave it behind. We made the Facebook post, and many people called to apologize, but I didn't forgive any of the ones who made light of my miscarriage, and I'm very distant with all the others who just cut me off before even hearing my side. I sold the ring, and with that, I bought myself a plane ticket for next month. My parents and I are American, but we used to visit this one country almost every summer when I was growing up, and they moved there after I finished high school. I'm going to move there too. I really like the country, but I never planned on moving there because I had a life here for me. College and then getting into a relationship with my ex. I was just really happy. Seeing as how that's over now, there is no holding me back, and I have lots of friends there from over the summers. 3 girls have even offered to be my roommates and have called me at least 4 times every week just to support me. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to live there with my parents. Thank you everyone for the support and how much you've worried about me. I'm nowhere near healed, but I know I'm on the right path. I know it may be hard for you guys to believe it, but he is genuinely sorry. It's in no way enough to balance out what happened, but at heart, he is not an evil guy, just a stupid one, which, somehow to me at least, feels a little more pathetic. When he found out the truth, he was sick. I mean that figuratively and quite literally. As in, he kept throwing up every time he tried to apologize to me, and even had some very real panic attacks. I know they were real because I felt his pulse spike when he had them around me, and he even passed out at work. His boss called an ambulance. The doctors told him that it was an anxiety attack. They wanted him to consider medicine, or at least meet with a psychiatrist, but he refused. I'm not going into that topic because it involves some very personal information that I would never tell about him. Even after what his family did, I'm just not that person, and I refuse to let them make me into someone that I'm not. He paid for all my medical bills and agreed to sell our house, and told me 100% of the profit could go to me. Not to mention, he had no qualms about me keeping and eventually selling the engagement ring. He wished me the best on my journey, and he's let me know repeatedly that if he could take it all back, he would. But he can't, so I have to move on. Finally, a lot of you have been saying that he used this opportunity to cheat with someone that he always wanted to. He swears that that was not the case, and he only slept with her specifically because he knew that I was insecure about her the same way that he was insecure about the guy that he thought I cheated with. This is the only thing he says that I'm not sure is completely true, but it doesn't matter anymore because I will never call this man my husband. In the comments, Lion Tamer 74 says, "What is with these people who immediately go nuclear and trash the relationship rather than actually talking to the person they supposedly wanted to spend their life with? And then the whole family piles on, and some of them tell her that she deserved to lose the baby? There's a huge level of immaturity here. And who the hell posts things like that on Facebook? Even if I were the one cheated on, can you imagine your parents telling the world what happened? It's just trash behavior. Absolute trash. I think in the long run, she might realize that she dodged a bullet with that family. Look, I'm glad that OP is not staying with him, but man, is she more forgiving than I am. I agree. I understand that OP is going through a lot and the stress might be affecting her health physically, but with what her ex-fiancé had pulled, and the treatment from the ex's relatives, no amount of forgiveness could ever fix things. OP shouldn't have to forgive such trash people. So instead of actually talking to OP about the cheating and getting the facts, the fiancé decided to be petty and hurtful and sleep with the girl that OP was insecure about. A good person doesn't do that. A good partner doesn't do that. I feel for OP, but I'm glad that she's moving away where she has family and friends to support her. She deserves better. It just saddens me that a simple conversation between them could have cleared everything. Fiancé really effed up. It's no good to burn bridges when you're filled with hurt emotions and impulsive behavior. There really is no going back after all that. Yeah, there genuinely is no going back after a situation like this one. It's pretty unforgivable. And for him to try and make it work is kind of sad in my opinion. I feel like he should realize the extent of the damage that he has caused and just accept that it's time to move on, buddy. Like, this is one of those situations where you are so dumb and have gone so scorched earth without communicating like you should have that you shouldn't bother trying to fix things, you idiot. I don't blame him for doing it. It's only natural. It makes sense. But you're only going to hurt yourself more in that instance. But maybe for some people, that's a good thing because he's done so much to hurt her so much. Maybe he deserved to feel that pain. Maybe he deserved everything that he's gone through afterwards. It just feels evil. It just feels so evil what he's done to OP in this situation. When OP described the panic attacks, the vomiting, the passing out, the having to go to hospital, I felt nothing. I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't feel bad about him having all of this happen to him. It feels like he deserved it. I hope this grave mistake is enough of a lesson for him to communicate next time. And then also be a spotlight on the pieces of shit in your family and extended family that you're surrounded by that don't even want to check on the validity of the story. And then we'll say horrendous things about losing the baby. Oh my god, the amount of people I would cut off is insane. Am I the asshole for telling my wife I can't give our baby fetal alcohol syndrome? I, male 23, had Friday off for a long weekend, and I had 2 beers to wind down since I haven't really had any for maybe 3 months. And my wife, female 21, has only been pregnant shorter than that. It's been long overtime hours for a while to prep for when my wife needs to stop work closer to due date, so I just wanted 2. Later, we were cuddling in bed and started making out, and after a bit, I tried to go all the way with her, and she immediately got mad. I was confused and asked her what was wrong. She was getting all cranky and saying how I didn't even care if it would hurt the baby. I was confused and thought she meant that the baby would be poked, and I tried to explain that the baby would be totally safe and I wouldn't ever want to hurt our baby. She got even madder and she started talking about fetal alcohol syndrome. She was saying how if I finished, then the baby could take the alcohol and get fetal alcohol syndrome in her. I was so flabbergasted because that's definitely not how it works, and I even looked it up later to be sure that I wasn't just stupid. But she said that it would happen like that, and I tried to soothe her that it wasn't the case. I think now I should have said that it would be okay to not do it anyway if she was worried, because I don't want her stressing and the baby. But I didn't think of that then, and tried to softly argue about me not being able to get the baby hurt like that, and she might have thought that it was just me trying to get laid, even though I was soft about it. She started crying about how I don't care at all, again, and I tried to hug her, and she pushed me away and cried some more. I apologized a bunch and offered to show her proof online to calm her, and she just locked herself in the bathroom. I tried to apologize to her through the door, but she wasn't having it, and I eventually went to bed by myself and slept very little that night. On Saturday morning, she was in bed and she was red from crying, so I hugged her and said that it was okay. I tried to softly talk about it again because I don't want her thinking that I would endanger our baby, but she got upset, and I admit, I just kept talking. I was confused, like, she was never like this before, and usually if I softly talk about it and listen to her all the way and don't make her feel silly, then she listens to me all the way through, and we solve it. I don't think we've even had a fight before. But I thought that it would be like before, and she says I'm not educated enough to know the truth because I work in a warehouse. And I admit, that upset me. She had an incredibly sheltered upbringing, and that's why she doesn't know. But I would never say that to her, and I'm hurt she would say that to me. I asked her, does she really not want to talk about it? And she said an emphatic yes. So I've been giving her space, and she just keeps crying quietly in other parts of the house. I'm worried that she's mad at me for not going to college. Things are very quiet. Should I just tell her that I was wrong and stop trying to initiate sex if I drink again before the baby comes? Am I the asshole? In the comments, Panacolade says, not the asshole. However, since you've said her mother decided to nix her education in regards to science, which I assume includes biology, to prevent her being fast, seriously judging a mother-in-law for that. She's an effing idiot. Consider that, along with totally normal and hormonal anxieties involved in pregnancy, that mother-in-law is feeding her a load of shit about this subject. She needs to wise up and research this properly instead of throwing a fit about the wrong thing. If it is a case of mother-in-law dripping poison in her ear, you need to consider putting space between your marriage and your mother-in-law. If she's not actively helping, she's a hindrance, and your wife isn't at an emotional space where she can differentiate between "my mum knows best" and "my mum is talking out of her ass." If this isn't a case of mother-in-law dripping poison, your wife needs to speak to her OBGYN about PPA, because it can manifest before the baby is born and can absolutely have her believing daft things as opposed to using her common sense. And as a previous commenter said, you also need to look up the signs of postpartum psychosis because paranoia is a factor. Lastly, I don't think she's a true idiot, but she is definitely acting like one in this instance. But there is an underlying reason that needs to be sought out and dealt with, otherwise she's going to have a tough time when the baby arrives earthside. And OP replies, "Thank you. I will check all of this." Is this for real? I can't believe there are people out here like this procreating. I'm still here scratching my head, and he's the uneducated one? What the hell? I thought this post would be about him not letting her get a glass of wine. This post just proves that Idiocracy was a documentary. You can't convince me otherwise. Love Heather says, "Last week, a 30-plus-year-old woman argued with me that one testicle produced boys and the other produces girls." What? I've never heard that before. That's wild. Her evidence was that her uncle only had one testicle and he had 4 girls. So there was no way that he could create a male child. A girl I went to school with was convinced that she wouldn't get her period if she stayed in water. Sexual health is a joke in the US. I had a friend in college, between the years 1999 and 2000, who swore that the cervix would open up to accommodate a big penis. Bro's been reading too much hentai. She was the super experienced one of our friend group. It was a tough sell coming from a newly de-virginized freshman to convince her that your cervix definitely does not do that. Large Wise Owl says, "You're having a baby with a moron. That's what you need to be worried about. What other misconceptions does she have about babies? Does she know not to give infants water? What about how old your kid needs to be before you give them honey? You actually need to start thinking about the fact that your wife is so sheltered that she doesn't understand basic biology. I hope she's not the one who's giving the kids the talk." You know, I've never thought about not giving infants water and that there is an age where it's appropriate to give them honey. But now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to be transparent with you, OP, because it seems as though you don't feel like you can be transparent with your partner. Why are you bringing life into this world if you can't even communicate with them? Surely you gave this some more time before committing to making a baby together so that things like this could eventually bubble up to the surface after the honeymoon period in your relationship. You were 21 and 23. You guys got time. This is why people always say in other stories when things like this happen, "Thank God you're not married. Thank God you don't have a child together so that you're not stuck with this." But obviously, that time was 3 months in the past. You can't really change the decision that you guys made together. All you can do is move forward. I commend you absolutely for attempting to communicate with her and attempting to fix this issue, but it seems as though it's not working right now, and I don't really know what the solution is here. I would think that just giving it time and doing everything in your power to prove that you are trustworthy, that what she believes is incorrect, giving her solid evidence as to why, and not judging her for it and letting her take her time to come to that realization. You've not done anything wrong in this situation to me, besides moving incredibly fast with someone that you didn't foster a complete understanding of, because something like this should not be taking you by surprise. My judgment is not the asshole. Update. Thank you everyone for the nice comments and the helpful advice. A lot of it was useful and really saved the day even here. There were a lot of questions asked over and over and over, so I have some answers since you guys keep asking. 1. My wife probably didn't know this because her mum came in all angry and removed her from science class in high school because she thought that it would make her too fast, because she blamed the science class on my wife's older sister eloping at 18. So she was trying to fix that. My wife has been actively reading to catch up on missed science knowledge from those classes that she maybe forgot to check up on this specific situation. 2. Yes, my wife does read baby books that we rent from the library, and she keeps notes in a notebook. So no, she is not a moron like some dickweeds on here have been hounding me about. She knows not to put the baby on their stomach at night or to not feed them honey and water. Everything you said she already knows, and I don't think she's about to go neglect our baby anytime soon. Also, yes, I've heard you, and I promise I'll make more time to read those books myself too, so she feels better. 3. Yes, she did go to an OBGYN before, but it was only one appointment and I wasn't present. We now have a second appointment scheduled for Friday to check hormone levels, and I will be coming with her to support her and make her feel less scared and alone. 4. She doesn't ever drink because her brother is an alcoholic. This problem did not stem from her jealousy of me drinking. I have also confirmed this is not because she doesn't want to have sex with me either. So, on to the update. I gave her space on Sunday morning while reading all the comments, and she was so quiet, but kept sitting near me and looking at me a lot more than usual, and like she was going to say something, but stopping. I took your advice and called the best family member I could think of, which is her older sister. The sister came, and my wife broke down crying, and I hugged her, and she starts saying sorry a lot. I hugged and said talk to your sister because I'm worried, and don't worry about talking to me, and she said she would talk to me after. Sister and her went into another room, and there was a lot of crying from my wife, and calm, nice talking from her sister. Some time passed, and they came out and sat with me, and my wife hugged me again and started crying, and I was just so happy that she wasn't cold-shouldering me anymore. Her sister explained that postpartum depression runs in the family, and as soon as I called, she knew that it was the same as the sister had, and their mum had too. Some comments said that, but I wasn't thinking it could happen to my sweet, happy wife, ever, so I was shocked it was even that. But sister explained that nobody talked to my wife about it, and my wife cut in with more sorries and explained that she didn't know for a few weeks why everything felt so wrong, and she was panicking while I was gone all day doing overtime and didn't want to bother me, so she just bottled it all up. And I told her that I want to go to the OBGYN together, and I wanted to call the next Monday to go together and talk about how to help, and she cried and agreed that she does need help. Also, she apologized for being mean and said that she had panicked because I pushed and she was scared herself that I wouldn't stop, and I would hurt the baby, and I was horrified, and I told her that I would always stop if she wanted me to, and she said yes, that she knows now, but was scared then, and felt like it was pure panic. So she said her auntie, who we thought was a great friend, and even brought casseroles when I had my appendix out, was talking to my wife's mum and helping the mum, and had brought fake information that alcohol was like that because apparently her mother is raging that I got my wife pregnant, even though we're married. I mean, I was surprised, but her mother knows about her problem with fearing alcohol and wanted to take revenge against me. It shouldn't have worked, because I don't drink more than every couple of months or so, and I don't get drunk because I promised that to my wife. But mother-in-law assumes that I'm an alcoholic because I work a blue-collar job, so she thought that that would work, and apparently it's been months since she thought that. And after our fight, my wife did Google it and was horrified to see that she was wrong. And she yelled and went crazy at the misinformation, and she thought that if she said sorry, I would hate her. And she just kept away, and almost did, and then didn't say sorry. This has been hanging over her head for so long, and I was horrified that I didn't try again to check in with her, to help her. She has been so sad and telling me how she never wants me to think that she hates my job because I work so hard, but she's also so lonely and upset being home alone for 10 to 11 hours, even if it's worth it for the money. She said she can stay home alone with our baby later when it's born. So we had a talk and decided that we should rent a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a 3-bedroom house so that we can have normal hours together and still keep her home to rest with the baby like she wants. She is crying and grateful and says thank you and is apologizing so much, I made sure she knows I'm not mad and that I'm trying to protect the baby, because now she knows that I will back off and not push. I also checked if she wanted me to have sex with her or not, and she was horrified and said yes, she does want to have sex. Please don't stop trying. She will tell me if she doesn't want to have sex. Sister is going to come stay over during the day for a while until we see if we need medicine or not, because her sister's daughter is old enough for school now, so she's free for the daytime and she can make sure my wife is okay. I've now dropped the overtime at work, and she says that she feels so much better already, but has really dark thoughts that maybe the baby died in her stomach or that it's bleeding to death inside of her after I fall asleep, so I wake up with her until she feels okay and we cuddle. I didn't know that she was having such a hard time, even when I came home, so I have to tell her that anytime she worries, and she worries that she'll be a horrible mother all the time, I get to remind her how great and wonderful she is, and learning how wonderful she was with my sister's kids as a baby, that she is going to be a fantastic mother. She immediately switches into happy tears, which makes her feel so much better. So I get to hug her again and say, yes, I'm very sad that she has to feel this way, but I am so happy that I can now help her. Thank you so much everyone who was nice to me and told me to call the OBGYN and to find good family members. Also, we're not in the Bible Belt for everyone asking. We are also not talking to her auntie anymore. I asked if I could take charge in this situation on behalf of my wife, and she said yes, so I blocked both her mum and auntie. They will not see the baby or talk to my wife again, and our sister and I will protect her. Edit. Also, she's quitting Wendy's because the chili makes her barf at work, because we can maybe afford it with just my money. In the comments, Princess Pindi says, "Your mother-in-law is toxic. Please be careful going forward." Holy shit, I'm not a psychiatrist, but she is insane. Who does that to their own daughter? Personally, I think you should help your wife start setting some boundaries with her and family members that are also toxic. Good luck. Mother-in-law is effing nuts. Once again, this is an example of the harm that's caused when a parent or parents keep their kids from comprehensive, factual sex education in public schools. Mother-in-law blaming the older sister for eloping because of sex education when it was probably because mother-in-law is crazy. OP, be careful going forward with having any contact of you and your wife with her mother. It sounds more like the mum wanted full control of her daughter's lives, and the sister eloping and the wife getting pregnant broke her plans. But then deciding to specifically lie to her daughter that way? That is purely malicious. I'd be cutting her off entirely. Yeah, girls who come from supportive, well-adjusted families aren't the ones eloping the minute they turn 18 and can legally escape. Mother-in-law effed up in various ways. This is awful. Awesome job on following through and making sure your wife's welfare is your main priority. Getting her sister involved sounds like a great idea and a wonderful support for you both. Well done for setting very clear boundaries with your in-laws, mother-in-law and aunts, and even cutting them off. They sound absolutely toxic and incredibly unhealthy to be around. I'm glad her sister is able to step in. I would suggest some therapy to help undo mother-in-law's harm. She looks down on him for working in a warehouse, but she works at Wendy's? OP has a long road ahead of him. Sheltered, insecure new adults making future adults. Phew, not good. That was my favorite part of the story. I get that she has some perinatal depression or whatever going on, but lol at dumping on your guy for working a blue-collar job while you were puking next to the chili pots at Wendy's. I'll be real, I picked up on that one as well, but I didn't really want to say anything because, given the extent of the issues that are prevalent within their relationship, I don't think that she'd have the self-awareness to realize how much of a self-own she was giving out there. The pot calling the kettle black is an understatement. Oh, I can't deal with it. Please, can we reverse course? Can we stop Idiocracy from being a documentary? Get me off this planet, god damn it. Like, I'm very happy for you guys, OP, but that's not a situation I ever want to find myself in, that's for sure. That sucks. Our next post is by user UnusualTooth753, titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my brother it's pathetic that he can't do the basics of what his wife did? I love my sister-in-law and brother. They have 2 kids, and my sister-in-law Rachel was kind of a stay-at-home mum. She worked from home part-time, but also took care of the kids and all the chores. I was over there multiple times and the house was spotless. Really, I thought she was just extra cleaning when she had guests, but no. When I had my kid, she showed me her schedule. She would be up at 5 for meal prepping for the whole day. Like, she never stopped, and a lot of her tips helped me with my own home. Now, my brother lost his job, and it was decided that Rachel would go back to work full-time, and he would stay at home. The kids are in kindergarten and first grade. He has this on easy mode. I've been over to help sometimes since he just sucks at it. The house is always a mess. The kids are usually late to school. He asked me to drive them after the school talk to him, and he doesn't cook. It's just sad. He got in a huge argument with his wife since dinner wasn't done and she had to make it. He was ranting about how it's unfair and that he is trying. I told him it's pathetic that he can't do the basics of what his wife did. He has 8 hours of free time and can't keep the house clean? I told him she'll divorce him if he doesn't stop being lazy and figure it out. He left after calling me a jerk, and my mum is now chewing me out for what I said. Thank you for the mac and cheese recipes. I'm gonna go not the arsehole for this one because everything you've said is true, and he's your brother. You should be able to be kind of brutally honest with this. And you're not being brutally honest in a dickhead way that's like, I can be an arsehole to everyone because they can't handle my brutal honesty. No, he's being a dickhead and you're calling a spade a spade. He's even asked you to help him out, you've helped him out, and instead of him improving like he should be, he's trying to dump it all on you. I'm not sorry. At that point, you're just asking to get divorced because you're being a lazy asshole who is not trying to change. And you know what happens to dead weight? It gets cut off. That's just life. That's just how these things work. Not the asshole OP. In the comments, Cake Eating Rabbit says, not the asshole. She worked part-time and did it all. He has no job at all and can't even somewhat cut it? How the F were the kids late? I mean, one time can always happen, but consistently? I think being a stay-at-home parent is hard, but with both kids going to school, he should have the time to do the most of it. OP replies, the kids are supposed to be dropped off at 7:30 to 8, classes at 8:15. He's been getting them there at 8:30 most days. I don't get it. I've been late a few times, but the school has to talk to him about it. Hell, the bus is an option, but you have to wake up earlier for that. That would piss me off the most. Is he trying to make sure they're late? I'm trying to think if he doesn't have a job and knows the time they need to be at school, why would they be late? He's testing her patience. Probably can't be asked to get out of bed to sort them out in time. If I have to get the kids anywhere before 9 a.m., I make sure I have the morning pre-planned. They will slow everything down and you will end up late. Need to be there by 8? Get up by 6:30 and have breakfast ready by no later than 7. Head towards the car by 7:30. You want to sit there and have some quiet time too? Get up at 6. This is the captain says, not the asshole. You're not wrong. Sure, it could have been put more elegantly, but sugarcoating wouldn't have made your point any less valid. This is his job now, and he is underperforming. Maybe the subpar work effort is why he lost his other job to begin with. OP replies, I don't get what he's doing all day. My kids are in school now too, and it takes me at most 3 hours to have the house spotless. There could be a million things going on, and it's just hard to know without being there. Is he depressed because he lost his job? Is he feeling inadequate? Is he feeling resentful because somewhere in the back of his mind, he's struggling with the swap in gender roles? I don't like jumping straight into this assumption, but it certainly isn't unheard of. Or is he simply lazy? Did your sister-in-law give him her schedule also? Edit. Info. How old are your brother and sister-in-law? OP replies, I gave him a schedule and so did sister-in-law. I've been over so many times. He's not doing anything. The house is gross and the kitchen is worse. Edit. Sister-in-law 28, brother 31. Sorry to keep interrogating you. Was his and your mother a stay-at-home mother? Did you grow up in a traditional household? I ask because after reading through the comments a bit, your brother sounds exactly like my cousins. 3 guys who grew up in a traditional religious household with a stay-at-home mother and grandmother who did absolutely everything for them. The 3 boys could do anything they wanted after school, and then the one girl had to come help with the chores. And now as adults, those guys can't figure out how to do basic house cleaning. They treat loading a dishwasher like it's rocket science, and their wives are constantly in a state of shocked Pikachu face, as basic life skill requests of them, like the laundry, require their assistance to accomplish. I was wondering if that may also be the case with y'all. OP responds, "Kinda. My mum stayed home until we were in middle school and then went to work. Dad was the fixer, so he did all the chores outside and anything that broke. He sometimes did dishes, but it was much more likely to see him fixing the pipes than common chores. By the time Mum was at work, we had our chores, and household chores dropped a lot for Mum." Update. I love my sister-in-law. My mum apologized to me. Rachel sent my mum what the kitchen and house looks like, the messages from the school, and apparently a text argument about how he shouldn't be doing this. She gave him 2 options: get his shit together or get out. I learned a lot about the situation and learned he wasn't packing the kids' lunches the last 2 days. I think he just broke his marriage. Bachelorette ruined my friendship. This is a long vent. I am the maid of honor and organized a weekend getaway for the bride and her bridesmaids and a few of her friends. 10 people total. None of the girls, including myself, are friends with each other outside of the bride. I had a really hard time organizing this event because in the group chat, no one would reply, and I was left high and dry for a lot of the decision making. Eventually, the same 2 girls would chime in and offer to help. About a month ago, we made a group chat, just the 3 of us, to figure out last-minute details of the trip, since we are the only 3 really involved in the planning. Keep in mind that, from the beginning, the bride has said that she didn't want to be involved in the planning at all. Anyways, the weekend rolls around, and the bride ends up ignoring me most of the weekend. She only spends time with her other friends. I have yet to get any appreciation or thank you from her about the planning. Also keep in mind, everyone spent around $1,500 for the Airbnb, activities, etc., while the bride paid for nothing. The last day comes and things are tense. I've hung out mostly with the 2 other girls from the group chat because they're really the only ones I've become closer with. During the Bachelorette weekend, we used the group chat once to organize a surprise we had set up for the bride. We had set up decorations and a picture-taking area, a full table spread of cheeses and meats, a custom-made cake, and bride-personalized drinks, all of which she completely ignored when she saw it. The last night there, the other girls got invited to some retired hockey player's house, and the cab ride is $100 one way to get there. Considering the cost, and that it was really not my vibe, I said I would stay back, and that other 2 girls that I was with most of the time also decided to stay back. The next day when we were packing up to leave, the uncomfortableness was palpable. No one would look at us or talk to us. I was the only one with a truck, and the other girls shoved all of their stuff in my car so that there was no room for anyone to drive with me back home, which was an 8-hour drive. We get back home, we meet at the bride's house and unload my truck. As I'm pulling out of the driveway, the bride runs up to my car and says, "I want to see your phone and messages with the group chat with insert names of the other 2 girls." I say no, that's really uncomfortable and it's invading their privacy. She said fine and walks off and says nothing to me as I leave. From what I've collected and can infer, it probably seemed like myself and the 2 other girls were cliquey. However, I personally talked with everyone else lots, but was getting ignored by the bride. I'm at such a loss. We are adults, and I'm being asked to share my text with a group of girls that I was asked to interact with outside of the bride in order to organize her bachelorette, and now she's worried we've become friends without her? This is something I've been told explicitly. I want to pull out of the wedding for how poorly I've been treated. She has been a horrible friend, and her asking to go through my messages has been such a breaking point for me. Edit, for those asking, she wanted to see the chat because she said that she is insecure about me talking with the other girls about her, so she wants to see what is in our group chat. I absolutely had nothing to hide. There is nothing in that group chat. But I said no and told her she can ask the 2 other girls and then can see it because it's their messages too. It was more a thing of principle. I don't think you get ownership of your friends and should be able to see all of their messages because you're insecure about them being friends. As well, she hadn't spoken to me the whole weekend, and I was feeling very ignored. She had many opportunities to ask to go on a walk with me and talk about this, but instead, she had waited until I was backing out of her driveway in front of all the other bridesmaids, except the other 2 from the group chat who had already left. Also, keep in mind, it was after about an 8-hour drive, and I was dead tired and wanting to get home, so either way, I wasn't going to sit and have a conversation. I also didn't get what the purpose of seeing a group chat would give. The 3 of us girls were there in person the whole weekend. If we wanted to talk about the bride, we wouldn't have been texting about it. And lastly, the whole reason we had this group chat was to plan the Bachelorette because none of her friends ever replied and stuff needed to get done. And the bride has explicitly said over and over and over she wanted no involvement of it being planned. In the comments, Assumption Advanced 58 says, "You got yourself in a dysfunctional wedding party. Is this someone you will stay friends with afterwards?" I think it's worth trying to talk to the bride about your feelings. I feel like the wedding craziness bleeding over into other relationships is a super common topic here, so maybe it's just that. Hopefully, for your relationship. But it's also totally valid to want to opt out, and to do so. Just because she's getting married and/or is stressed doesn't justify her treatment of you. When she said, "I want to see your texts with so-and-so and so-and-so," why did you not ask why? So many moments I'm wondering if you had just had a non-response, and it's confusing. Lots of people would rather just avoid confrontation. Yeah, I find that quite unhealthy. There has to be a way to have direct communication that's not in the style of reality TV reunion shows. It's basic, but not always easy. She did say she was dead tired after the 8-hour drive, which makes sense. People can't always have the perfect comeback when tired. Unfortunately, you did not have a friendship. Friends do not behave that way. Opie posted a couple of months ago that the bride had been making unreasonable demands while also not wanting to plan or pay any money for a trip that is costing everyone else over $1,000. It makes me wonder if this incredible entitlement is a new personality trait for the bride, or if she's always been like this. Exactly. The length of the party, the expense, and the fact that it was an 8-hour drive one way screams entitlement. Both of those things may be reasonable for a good friend, but all 3? Update. The wedding was yesterday. I didn't go, and haven't spoken to the bride since I told her that I was dropping out of the wedding 2 months ago. Another bridesmaid also dropped out. The 3rd girl mentioned in the original post did go, but she said she regrets not dropping out. The bride got mad at her for several other miscellaneous things in the few days prior to the wedding. I found out from the other bridesmaid that dropped out that the bride had been talking about me behind my back for the year leading up to the Bachelorette and had plans to completely ghost me and cut me off after the wedding. Keep in mind, she made me her maid of honor. Big lesson learned is to listen to your gut and do what's best for you. In the comments, Esoteric Carrot says, "Wow, sounds like you dodged a bullet. So sorry she put you through all that bullshit. Are you still friends with the other 2 girls? I hope the 3 girls stay great friends and go on vacations together. I'm so confused. If she wanted to ghost you and dump you as a friend, then why make you the maid of honor? I'm so sorry she is such a garbage human being. You deserve so much better from your friends." Sounds harsh, but based on the bride's behavior, I can't imagine that her marriage will last long. Sounds like she doesn't know how to take care of her relationships. I know you said this ruined your friendship, but honestly, it didn't sound like much of a friendship at all. The bride seems like a selfish, stuck-up bear. It's a good thing you didn't go, but I've lost supposed friends before, and the sting is still there, even when they're bad people. It still hurts, and I'm sorry. That really sucks, and I'm sorry you've put that kind of money and effort into all of that, which is super sweet by the way, just to be treated that way. However, after the pain of cutting off a dead limb of a friend fades, you'll feel so much better. Your life will be better. Again, I'm sorry this happened. You seem like a good friend. I initially thought this was about the show, but wow. The audacity to make someone your maid of honor, have her plan things, spend money on you, only for you to talk crap behind her back, ignore her, and then ghost her? She's also freaking out because her maid of honor is making friends with other people? I don't get brides like this. Why spend your wedding being a shitty person when you can spend it stress-free and happy? Well, because the bride doesn't know what being a good friend or person is, so she assumes everyone is as awful as her. So, what's the over-under on how many cheated whilst at the hockey player's house? So many questions and very little answers provided. Bride definitely, at least 2 others. Damn, what a messy situation this one was. I'm still so confused at that thought process too. Why make someone your maid of honor if you're just going to ghost them? She's so easily able to dismantle your wedding so close to the date if you treat them like that. I just don't understand the thought process. If she was going to do this, why not just make OP a bridesmaid? Not someone with power that can kind of derail the wedding very close to the date. I genuinely think some people are too stupid to be as evil as they are. And that's why I apply Hanlon's razor to so many things. What can be seen as malice can so easily be seen as stupidity. Unfortunately, she's both. Also, it's unfortunate that she used OP for so long, but as everyone else has said here as well, I do hope that those 2 other people remain good friends with you, OP, and they treat you much better than this asshole has. Our next post is by user Terrific Terror, titled, "Am I wrong for expecting people to pay my kid?" My child, 9, has recently gotten into baking. She's really passionate about it, and it sparked most of our family members to stimulate said passion by requesting her to bake small items they happen to be craving right as they're coming over or have invited us over. They're always very small things like, "Ooh, I'd sure love some brownies," or something similar, and since people are asking and complimenting her genuinely makes her heart smile, I only support it and don't mind paying for the ingredients. One of my family members is hosting a gathering and asked my daughter to bake 75 cupcakes. They said they would take her shopping for ingredients. She asked me if she could, and I said sure. I supervise oven-related steps and have to be present. Afterwards, I contacted said family member to get some specifics as to allergies and other nonsense, and brought up the fact that she was so excited to have her very first paying customer. Said family member was apparently appalled at the expectation of paying my child for hours of labor, and stated that since she's a minor and doesn't have a genuine business yet, she shouldn't expect payment because taxes. I replied that if she feels that strong, she should order from a genuine business, because there is no way in any universe I'm going to let someone exploit my child like that. She accused me of promoting child labor, and when I retorted that she appeared to be fine with said child labor until she had to pay for it, she hung up on me. Now, some additional information. I didn't expect a full hourly wage, just something extra to thank her for her hard work. She's been putting every cent she gets in allowance or earnings towards more baking supplies. I expect she would have done the same with this money, but that's entirely up to her. If said family member decides not to pay, I'm still going to let her make the big order, pay her in full, and take the food down to a local food bank so she still gets the money and the experience. As fellow parents, how would you have approached this situation? I feel like I potentially robbed my kid of an experience she would have enjoyed out of personal principle. Edit, some more info, as it appears to be mentioned a lot. This is not a close family member. She's the kind of relative you only see at funerals or weddings. All the money my children earn goes to them 100%. Yes, I do pay for them to do the chores they do. No, I'm not going to try to turn my daughter's hobby into a business. I'm only supporting and teaching her wherever she takes it. I do not feel any kind of strong emotion towards said relative. I do not dislike her at all, and we aren't American. My advice as a single non-parent is that I feel like you've done everything here perfectly. You are creating and maintaining strong boundaries with said asshole and your child. If this person wants 75 cupcakes worth of free labor, they can goddamn do it themselves and not expect your kid to do all this work for free. 1 or 2 cupcakes, sure, it's a little gift that was easy to do, but 75 is hours of work and hours of sitting around a goddamn oven to make sure they don't burn. What dumpster fire are these people pulling their audacity from? I can't deal with this. In the comments, Henry Bellendry says, asking if the child would like to bring a dessert to share at the gathering is fine. Asking the child to make 75 frickin' cupcakes without any kind of reimbursement is just ridiculous. She's taking advantage and got called out for it. Right? It's the 75 for me. A dozen? Sure. 75 is a huge job for anyone without a commercial kitchen, and maybe even then. But I'll take her grocery shopping. And are you expecting her parents to foot the bill for that too, as she's the one making the cupcakes? 75 is insane. Of course she should pay for them. Where the hell is she getting 75 of anything without paying for the labor? Also, the number 75 is making me unreasonably aggravated. What sick human being asks for an odd number of cupcakes? You bake by the dozen. That's actually so true. What? What's next? Does she order a pizza and request it have 7 slices, and then turn the pizza man into a lampshade? She is 9. Crossing the parent and going straight to the child for such a request is unbelievable. They knew exactly what they were doing. Shame on them. This is common behavior in any creative endeavor. Family and friends think they're entitled to a discount or even free services and goods. Except they aren't. I think this is an important lesson to teach your daughter, to be honest, especially if she's planning on pursuing this further into a true business. She's going to have to learn how to say no to these types of people and how to manage the situations. This is a great opportunity for you to practice what to say and all of that. Your response about child labor is the kind of comeback I could only come up with in a hypothetical shower argument. I envy your quickness. I wish my wife would say that about me. That's what I was thinking. I am practically cheering at the timing and OP's ability to absolutely nail the response. We are in the presence of greatness. When I got married, my niece reached out and asked if I would like a wedding video. She was an aspiring videographer, and we didn't discuss the price as she offered. Imagine my surprise when she sent me a contract laying out expectations and saying the cost was $250. So you know what I did? I signed the contract and I paid her $250. I didn't really know what to expect of the video, but I wanted to support my niece as she navigated running her business. She was 17, so quite different than 9, but the concept stands. The wedding video is one of the best videos I've ever seen. It is so well done. It makes me cry every time I watch it. She did an amazing job, so I gave her an additional $200 as a tip. I would have had to pay a ton more for a video of this quality had I gone with a professional. She is now 20 and was hired by a professional sports team as videographer. She was able to use my wedding video as an example of her work. She is incredibly successful, makes nearly as much as I do at 20, and I'm 37, and I'm so glad that I chose to support her instead of pushing back over something so stupid. Your daughter is doing something that people would charge quite a lot of money for. Thank you for advocating for her. Update. First of all, thank you for all of the advice. Some things were really helpful, and I have put a lot of it to use. To those accusing me of trying to profit off of my child, monetizing something that should be fun, or being a shitty parent in general, go headbutt a moose. I've sat my daughter down and explained to her that the relative did not intend on paying her, that she was welcome to do the work for free if she so desired, but that she was also allowed to decline her request. We proceeded to have an entire discussion about the differences about doing someone a favor, like a pan of brownies, and labor, like catering an event. I emphasized it was her decision and she would have my help and support whichever way she went. She ended up asking if it were possible for her to attend the event instead of receiving payment so she could see the people eat her cupcakes and brag about making them, which the relative declined because it was a child-free event and she could not make exceptions. We both found this fair enough, and she requested a set of baking pans in sizes she doesn't have yet as payment, which the relative also declined because why should she give her gifts while it was the relative's time to be celebrated? She went on to say that my child was ruining the party by refusing to do dessert because she counted on it. My daughter was starting to feel guilty, and I stepped in, gave her a list of local bakeries and at-home bakers that she could contact, and wished her a fantastic day. Reassured my kid, and we went on to go shopping for the baking tins ourselves. About 2 hours later, the relative, undoubtedly having contacted bakers and bakeries, called and offered my daughter a gift card for a local shop that sells all kinds of cooking and baking supplies. She happily accepted, and we thought that was that. The relative really stepped up her game in making up for the nonsense, as she arranged for my kid and myself to supervise to be allowed in the venue's kitchen and make the cupcakes there, as the venue owners, who also cater the event, feel like the young passion should be encouraged. I've ordered her very first tiny apron, and she's beyond excited to experience a commercial kitchen, and watching her heart smile makes my mum heart happy. Final update. Hey all, as promised, I'm letting you guys know how things ended up going for my 9-year-old catering my relative's event. Today was the big day. This morning we went over to the venue where she was allowed to make a grand total of 76 cupcakes, because the chef found that 75 was an absurd number to order cupcakes in. She got to use professional materials and got tips and tricks from an actual patissier. Her smile didn't leave her face for half a second, and she genuinely had the time of her life. She got everything she was promised as payment, and got the business card of the chef that she worked with, and the promise that if she's still baking when she hits 16, there will be an internship waiting for her. My kid has been beaming all day, and it was absolutely worth it. Thanks for all the kind words and advice. In the comments, GRSZ11 says, "It is bonkers how your dick of a relative stumbled into fostering something so nice." Honestly, I think the relative needs some props here. Yes, they were a jerk, but importantly, they realized and made an effort to make up for being a jerk. That deserves credit because many people faced with their jerkishness end up doubling down on it rather than learning anything. I would have loved to see the relative's face after hearing the price of a professional bakery. Inspired quite a turnaround. Yup, know your worth. I'm glad OP advocated for her daughter and did not let her be exploited. Quality desserts are expensive. Yes, I couldn't believe some of the commenters. I've always tried my best to teach my son to know that his time and skills are worth something. I've tried to teach him that it's okay to do a favor, but to also recognize when you're being taken advantage of. I honestly couldn't see how the OP went wrong in this situation at any point. Hey, I'm glad it was a blessing in disguise because this relative was starting to make me blush. Some people have no idea. I'm glad her daughter had a good time in the end, so I think it was worth it. My friend has a Cricut. I asked her to make an iron-on for my cousin. It came out adorable. I treated my friend to a dinner as a thank you. My friend tried to refuse to let me pay, and I told her that her time and effort was so appreciated by me. I would gladly pay her directly if she would let me. Go headbutt a moose is now my new way of telling people to get lost. Why did the posters think that baking 75 cupcakes, and I assume icing as well, is a fun leisurely activity for a 9-year-old? That shit is genuinely work and should be compensated as such, no matter how much one loves baking. I'm glad it had a happy ending and that the relative got their head screwed on straight. Well, because they've probably baked cupcakes once, following instructions from a pre-made cupcake mix box, and made a dozen in about 30 minutes with not a lot of actual work. They just assume that all baking is that easy, so just have mum help to make a few extra pans. No big deal. I'd wager the relative might not have thought the same. Maybe talking to actual professionals gave some instant perspective, and instead of ignoring the situation or doubling down, the relative showed some effort in trying to remedy the situation. In summary, it's not child labor if it's free. Wow, the logic that some people have always surprises me. Am I the asshole for telling my brother's fiancé that we don't owe her a family? My, female 25, stepbrother Nico, 29, has recently gotten engaged to a woman called Jenny after dating for 2 years. We all tried to welcome Jenny, especially knowing that she grew up in the foster care system and didn't have family. We tried to get to know her, but she seemed to want an instant, intimate connection rather than building one. Me and my younger stepsister, Chelsea, 22, bore the brunt of her neediness, but our parents have also expressed concerns. Since she met us, she's been trying to insert herself into pictures, family disputes, and social events. She has no boundaries. We've all talked to Nico about it so many times, even sitting him down as a family, and he keeps saying he will talk to her, but nothing changes. And it's got worse since the engagement. She tried to make me her maid of honor, demanded my mother throw her a bridal shower, started calling my parents mum and dad even though they asked her not to, and reached out to distant family members that we don't even talk to tell them about the engagement. Last week, we were all, Chelsea, Nico, me, and our partners, staying at our parents' place. Jenny, Nico, and my boyfriend were the only ones not up yet, and the rest of us were in the kitchen. Chelsea, my mother, and I were talking about taking a weekend trip. Jenny came in, having overheard us, saying that it sounded like fun, and proceeded to invite herself along. I was pretty annoyed by this and said that she couldn't just invite herself. Jenny said why wouldn't she be invited, and I said because marrying Nico doesn't give you a blanket invite to every single thing all his family does. Jenny got upset and said she would really like to be included in our family since it was the only one she knows, and she doesn't have a proper family. I said I know that, and we all sympathize, but that doesn't mean we owe you a new one. The whole room was silent, and Jenny got up and went back upstairs. She didn't come out the rest of the day, but Nico came down to chew me out over what I said. Our parents defended me, saying we had an opportunity to talk to Jenny and he didn't. He and Jenny left that same day, and he's now only keeping low contact with everyone. When I've spoken to him since, he's just said that I went way too low with what I said to Jenny, and that I've set her back mentally, and that she's really down. I do feel bad, but I also feel like Jenny has been overstepping. We are all open to a relationship with her. We all have good relationships with partners in the family, but she never really made a genuine effort to build relationships with us. She just decided she was entitled to them, which I think isn't fair. I don't know if I should reach out to Nico or Jenny with a more fervent apology, but I will if I have really screwed up here. I don't want to be the reason Nico stops talking to us. I just feel like he dropped the ball by letting it get to this point. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I think I might be the asshole because the family is a big one for Jenny, and what I said might have been harsh. Also, Nico is now distant from the rest of the family over this, which was never my intention. In the comments, Diminishing Patience says, quote, "He just said I went way too low with what I said." So what does he suggest you should have said then? Quote, "We have all talked to Nico about it so many times, even sitting him down as a family, and he keeps saying he will talk to her but nothing changes, and it's gotten worse since the engagement. Nothing. He wants everyone to say nothing, not the asshole." Yeah, honestly, I feel really bad for OP, the family, and Jenny. Nico set them all up for this inevitability instead of talking to his partner about boundaries and not approaching things so intensely. I can see how Jenny saw this new family as finally hers. I get how she likely came on too strong and too fast, and I can see how it would be overstepping and creating uncomfortable situations for the others involved. Frankly, if Nico had talked to Jenny, she probably could have gotten the relationships she wanted with these people because it would have developed organically. This all boils down to Nico not wanting to have the uncomfortable conversation that he needs to have to make this situation better for everyone, not the asshole OP. Yeah, and she needs therapy, if only to understand how a family works. I don't expect to be invited to everything my sibs do, and I've walked in on conversations where things are being planned without me, and I've never invited myself, because I know that there's some things we do as a whole, and different things we do as smaller units, naturally. Foster kids attend therapy almost constantly while in the system. It's part of helping them deal with what they're going through. Most foster kids who age out end up feeling and coming across as needy and clingy because they've never been loved by what they consider a permanent family. It's always a foster home or residential, and no matter how close they got to the parents, staff, or social worker, they know that in the back of their minds, eventually they're going to lose those people, so they stop letting themselves feel like they have a permanent place. Jenny likely views her relationship with Nico as the first permanent family relationship she's ever had. She did push too hard and too fast for close relationships, but it's not because she needs more therapy, it's because she's excited to finally feel like she has a real family. OP, if you read this, ignore Nico telling you not to talk to her and do so. Explain, gently, what you've said here. Be honest, but understand that her feelings are likely, well, fragile is the only word coming to mind, but it's not quite right. Raw might be a better word. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Tell her that no one minds having a relationship with her, but it needs to happen over time in a natural way. She can't push it or force it, or it won't be genuine. Remind her to use all of the coping skills she learned in the foster care, minus any drugs, of course. Hopping onto this to say also that if and when OP has the conversation with Jenny, it needs to be supportive but firm and talk about real boundaries to keep with the rest of the family. Jenny, we are tired of asking you to stop calling Bob and Marla your parents. Jenny, as much as I want a relationship with you, I will never want to talk about my sex life or my medications with my siblings. They are not something that siblings discuss. You need to put it in the larger context of, that's not how things actually work in the real world. Southie says, well, Jenny was just going to keep pushing until someone pushed back. So this moment was more or less inevitable. You named the elephant in the room, Jenny's neediness, which your whole family had noticed. I don't know whether Nico failed to talk to her in private, or whether he did and she failed to heed his warnings. I also don't know if getting to join in what she perceived as a close-knit family is a large part of what makes Nico attractive to her. But I do know that your comment stung deeply, and Jenny won't stop feeling it for a long time. It's not impossible that this precipitates a breakup between Nico and Jenny, and if it does, it is highly likely that the blame is going to come your way. So, an apology is in your strategic interest, regardless of whether your comment was justified or not. I think my final vote is going to be everyone sucks here. Jenny for being pushy, Nico for not warning her that her pushing wasn't going unnoticed, and you for saying something really wounding. Fit Permit says, no assholes here. I cannot blame you for snapping, and I cannot blame Jenny for wanting a close family. Growing up in the way that she did can result in an intense longing for connection and safety, and a lack of proper communication skills. She shouldn't insert herself in everyone's business like that, but she also seems to not understand why, and I hope she and your brother can work through that together. On the other hand, I completely understand that it feels very invasive if someone does this to you, even if you understand where they're coming from. The way she said it was a bit harsh, but I assume tension has been building up over time. I do think it's good to talk it out to her once all the emotions have settled, and I hope your brother can facilitate the process. She needs to learn the nuance of becoming welcome, but not overstepping boundaries, and it not being a sign of people not caring about you. I would have been frustrated in OP's position, but I do feel bad for Jenny. She's been annoying, not malicious, and I think that comment will stay with her for a long time. A long time being the rest of her life. I can see that comment being a foundational core memory of her fiancé's family. It sounds to me like Jenny was trying to make familial connections the only way that she knew how. She didn't have a family the same way that OP did. OP coming out and saying crap like, we don't owe you a new family, could easily be interpreted by Jenny as saying, just because you're marrying my brother doesn't mean that the rest of us accept you. We all know the horror stories of the foster care system. Most kids just end up becoming a payday without any real family connections while growing up. Jenny was just trying to form those connections the only way she knew how, and OP's comment was a massive slap in the face. Should the fiancé have talked to Jenny about her behaviors? Sure, but he's also no therapist. And I'm guessing that is really what Jenny needs to help to work through the trauma that she received while in foster care, as well as the new trauma that she received from that comment. Back up to the post, we have an edit. Okay, I'm adding this because I thought that it was implied, but maybe not. We do push back when Jenny is being intrusive. I can't count how many times I have said, Jenny, I'm not comfortable talking about my sex life, therapy, medication, etc. It's really personal. Can we just change the subject? We move on from the conversation, but the next time I talk to her, it's back to square one. Same with my parents. They politely ask her not to call them mum and dad, and she stops for the duration of that conversation and then starts again next time. We have never had a more in-depth conversation with her. We offered, and Nico said no. He said he would talk to her. Edit 2. For everyone saying that I should consider Jenny family because she's engaged to Nico, that isn't what I meant with that comment. I commented this elsewhere, but I'm copying it because it encapsulates what I'm trying to get across. I never said or meant that she isn't part of the family. I guess what I meant with what I said was, you can't parachute yourself in and expect us to be the family that you deserve. Because the family every person deserves is one with their mum and dad, and it's happy, and it's from birth, and you don't have to do anything to earn it. Sadly, not everyone gets that. I know I didn't, and I know how much it must suck for her to feel like she has to work for what other people got for free. I have a shitty bio, Dad, so I kind of know. You think, why do I have to be good and clever and kind and a million other things to have a good family, while all anyone else has to do is just be born? And it's the worst, but when you come into a family that already exists, that's the way it is. They learn to love you, and it takes time. My stepdad didn't love me the second he met me, or love me just because he loved my mum. He got to know me and figured out who I was as a person, and he loved me for me. We wanted to have that opportunity with Jenny, and maybe that doesn't feel good enough for her, and I guess it's not really fair that she doesn't have any other kind of unconditional love, but I don't think that's up to us, or anyone, to fix. That's just my view. I guess my take on this situation after all is said and done here is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I can see by your explanation after the fact and after having the comments kind of run you through this one, that you didn't mean to hurt her, that you just wanted her to, put her foot on the pedal a little bit and just slow down. But your words didn't convey that, and your actions haven't conveyed that. I do think there's been a big disconnect between what you intend to say and what you intend to get across, and what your actions and words have conveyed to her. I really think this just boils down to one big mess of miscommunication, and I blame Nico for that one. This was his problem to fix, or at least lessen the blow of, but he didn't do that job from the way that this post is written. I guess what I'm going to say is, I think it's either no assholes here or everyone sucks here, but I'm not sure which one. Update. Wow, that post blew up. In no small part to my extensive replies while sitting in an airport lounge on a layover. I'm still getting DMs asking for an update, so here goes. First, thanks everyone for your advice. I received some really insightful messages and comments, which were really helpful and heartfelt. Long story short, we have decided to have a session with a family mediator. It was me, my boyfriend, Jenny, Nico, my parents, and Chelsea. I'm not sure I can fit in all the insights from the session, so I'll keep to key things. Firstly, for all those wondering if Nico ever actually told Jenny what we said, Nico talked to Jenny about our concerns precisely twice, a third of the times that we brought it up. She said that it was presented to her as an offhand comment from our parents rather than the intervention that it was. Second, basically one of the main things that came up was how Nico kind of sold our family to Jenny as a blended family so that she could slot into, and she got really invested into that. Nico said he kept hoping that it would all work itself out once Jenny felt more secure in their relationship. Oh, god damn it, Nico. Then came the real crux. Jenny said she wasn't just looking for a relationship with Nico, but with a whole family. Oh my god, that comment that called it? That's crazy. And we all had a long discussion about what that would look like for us in an ideal world, and it was vastly different. Then the mediator asked her the question, if you never get the relationships you want from this family, do you still think you'll be able to have a happy relationship? And she said she didn't know. This kind of triggered Nico, who said he felt like Jenny was making him feel like he wasn't enough on his own, that she wanted a family from him more than a relationship with him. Then Jenny got upset and said, why couldn't we all just try to be the family that she needed? At which point, my boyfriend had an uncharacteristic moment of insanity and went off on her. Then he and I left the room. I was right in the middle of lecturing him when everyone else came out except Nico and Jenny and said that they needed the rest of the session to discuss what had been said. Nico came back to our parents' place later and said he and Jenny are taking a beat because she's ruminating on what the mediator said, and he's pretty crushed that she might not want to be with him if he doesn't come with a ready-made family attached. He said he was prepared to pretty much give up a family for her, but she won't even give up the idea of one for him. He's now staying with my boyfriend and me until further notice. We haven't had any further conversations with him and Jenny. He is not in the headspace for it. If they stay together, I foresee a lot of mediation. At the end of the day, everyone on the thread was right in some way. I was an asshole for saying what I said in the way I said it, and this conversation between all of us should have happened earlier. In the comments, Nito Gravelord says, "This is so bizarre. What did your boyfriend tell her in his insanity moment?" Let's try this again 30 replies, "Had a kind of similar situation as the boyfriend once, but not as bad. My mother-in-law and wife were arguing with my father-in-law over elder care and possible elder abuse allegations from an aunt from her husband and stepkids. He was saying he probably couldn't legally do anything. He was dragging his feet on getting a lawyer to even find out. I got frustrated being on the sidelines and basically yelled at him about getting a lawyer because he doesn't know what he was talking about. Never seen a more deer-in-the-headlights look. Then he agreed to getting a lawyer. My wife said they almost yelled at me for yelling at their father, but then it clicked what I said. Said that the only reason it even worked is because I never raise my voice ever, and that alone was a shock. If anyone gets me to yell, they need to take a step back because maybe they're effing up." OP said that it was an uncharacteristic moment of insanity, which suggests he's cool, calm, and collected. Probably should have been a red flag for her if someone she considered to be like that is blowing up, then why isn't she when she's closer to the situation? OP responds, "He is not a red flag, and he didn't yell or raise his voice. He was very calm and collected in his response, but he normally stays out of this kind of stuff. So really him saying anything was an uncharacteristic moment of insanity. And he just said that Jenny has been very quick to tell everyone what she needs from them, but doesn't give anything in return, and that people don't exist to be what she needs and wants them to be. He was harsh, but he wasn't wrong." Then how is that a moment of insanity, and why were you lecturing him about it? It sounded like a reasonable, level-headed, and rather insightful observation. You bring him there, and then scold him for having the audacity to speak? You really don't treat him very well. Maybe you should be less focused on Nico's relationship and fix what's broken in your house first. Scott Foss, 72, says, "Brother is not getting nearly enough crap from the field on this day. He told her, lied to her, that his family was hers, immediately blended. He told his family he'd talk to her and never did. Lies. He yelled at his family for not being what he lied to her about, what he promised her that they would be. Then he yelled at her for not being content enough with reality after his lies all crumbled. She needs therapy, but he's the real asshole here. OP, did I get any of that wrong? Edit, in fact, the more I think about this, the worse he comes off. She came to him in an incredibly vulnerable state, and he left her exponentially worse. And if his family doesn't hold him accountable for this, he will remember this incident not as something he caused, but just some crazy ex-girlfriend story. This is sad all around. Jenny's looking for the family she never had, while breaking a lot of the boundaries, yes, and your brother is never going to be enough for her without it. I just hope they stay in therapy and not get married anytime soon. I hope he finds someone else. This girl comes with a lot of baggage, and he's too young to need to deal with all that. Better a clean cut. He was at fault for selling his family to her the way he did and hoping that everyone goes along with it, knowing his family wasn't comfortable being this close early on. He is the one that created the problem. Jenny deserves someone who is honest with her, and I'm sure there are enough families who want this much closeness as soon as they are a part of the family. Yeah, look, I think we can deduce from OP saying that the boyfriend's words are a moment of insanity that they are not all there themselves. Like, I'm all for taking their words at face value if they're talking in good faith, but the way that they described him talking about this situation in that mediation group, he was normal. He's probably the most normal person in that room. Like, what do you mean he's insane, OP? You're the insane one for saying he's insane. Am I being gaslit right now? I think these problems are unmanageable for this family. I don't think they're equipped to deal with this. If I were the mediator, I'd be like, you know what? Just break up, man. Just do it before more trouble comes to this family. Someone is insane in this family, but it's not you, boyfriend, that's for sure. The rest of you, family, put your monkeys back in the barrel and get back to the circus, because Jesus Christ, that was a performance and a half right here.